Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for coming, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you for coming to CMP event. I bring greetings from the board and members of Council of Nigerian Professionals, a council with a mandate to empower, support our Nigerian community in particular and people of African descent in general. Before I begin, I would like to give honor to whom honor is due. Everybody that knows me knows that's the first thing I will do. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the First Nations. Alton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the lands of the Anishinaabe to the Atawadaron, the Unashini, and the Métis. These lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, our community calls us, in solidarity with our indigenous brothers and sisters, to honor and respect the four directions: land, water, plants, animals, and ancestors that walk before us. All of these wonderful elements of creation exist, gifted to us by Creator God. We'd like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation for being stewards of this traditional treaty. And this is a good segue to introduce myself. My name is Adejisola, the daughter of Haulat, the daughter of Damola, the daughter of Adekbeju. The First Nations will introduce themselves using their maternal generation to the third generation. Secondly, I'd like to appreciate our leadership, the leadership of CMP, both past and present. Your sacrifice has brought CMP this far. Thank you all for your selfless service, giving of your time, your finances, your passion. That is what has got us this far. Thank you for all the resource you've put into this. You are really, really appreciated. Our staffs, thank you so much for doing such a great job, contacting our members, helping them, talking to them in this very, very time of need, in this unique period that we find ourselves. And also, we'd like to thank our frontline workers. All through the pandemic, you are the engine that makes our economy to run smoothly. Thank you so much. We cannot thank you enough. For all your sacrifice in spite of all odds, you are simply amazing and highly appreciated. Also too, October is Mental Health Month, and October 10th, which is today, is actually Mental Health Day. It's important to lead with care and empathy when dealing with each other, even more so now during the pandemic. We are in a new normal and it keeps evolving. We are all experiencing things like never before. A lot of people have lost their jobs, their livelihood. A lot more are working from home. This is something that we're not used to. Our children are learning hybrid. Some are in person, some are learning virtually. And there's a high percent of high school youths and new graduates that are unemployed, to mention a few. It is certainly a different kind of stress. And all this impacts mental health. So care is the key word. So I'll go to our agenda today. So we've had the anthems and I'm doing the introduction. And we will have Sade Talks come and talk to us. We'll have DAMILOLA AJILORE also to come and talk to us. And then we'll have Q&A and we'll have the vote of thanks. So I will go ahead and introduce Sade Talks. So what's Sade Talks going to be talking about today? She'll be talking about the effective resume writing and beyond, virtual interviewing skills and coaching, because things are so different now. It's so important for us to know what the recruiters are looking for. And the opportunity is to actually empower members with tools to write their best resume, educate members on virtual interviewing etiquette, coach members on current market trends, strategies, and job searches and career changes. So the expected result after Sade Talks is we want a situation where we'll have the opportunity to be able to improve our resumes with our writing skills, master virtual interviewing to move members towards hires, foster confidence, and resources to better navigate our career mobility. Sade Talks is continually proving to be an industry leader for high quality guaranteed product service in the following ways: current market and industrial trends, hands-on experience in talent acquisition strategies, hands-on experience with career mobility. Sade talks, even though she's an entrepreneur, she's also a senior recruiter with one of the major banks. So please welcome Sade talks.
Thank you. Okay, we're supposed to. It's COVID season, so we're running around with masks and Lysol and whatnot. See today is that everyone has ways of doing resumes, and there's no specific way of doing everything perfectly right, but there's certain things you want to make sure you do, and those are the things we're going to go through. Everything that's going to be on the PowerPoint will be in a Word document that is going to be digital and easily accessible later for everyone to be able to follow through. Okay, we'll make sure that gets out to you. So, let's see here. So what we'll do is just run through the what we expect to cover today. The resume part, we will cover that. The biggest chunk of time we're going to spend today will be a lot in the how to ace the interview in person and virtual, because all of us at this point, if we're interviewing for anything, you're most likely doing it virtual, and we want to make sure we spend a lot of time there. So there'll be a few places in the resume part where we may not go through line by line, but everything is there for us. And while we're working through, if you see anything that has a light bulb next to it, it's one of those aha moments where I want you to pay attention to something. Okay? So let's go. So how do you want to take your resume from just being okay, like, you know, the resume is all right, it's okay, to standing out? Couple of things for that is what we'll do is we'll go through a few quick facts. And a lot of the quick facts are things from working as a recruiter, working with people, hiring managers, and also being a hiring manager myself. On average, you have about 10 to 20 seconds to catch a recruiter's attention. So when they look at your resume, you got 10, 20 seconds. If you have 7 pages of a resume, let's not do that anymore. I can promise you nobody's going to read 7 pages of resumes. So if you have, on your first page is where you're going to capture their attention, okay? You want your resume to tell the story why you're the best fit for the role. And you also want to articulate why why they should not look at anybody else, but just look at you, okay? I would say, as a general idea, you want your resume to be 2, maybe 3 pages long, okay? The words in the job posting, so every time you go to apply for a job, there are going to be places where they'll say, in order to apply for this job, you must have this, and they'll list a few things, or a lot of things sometimes. They also have places where they will say, if you have this, it's nice to have, or it would be great if you have these. You want to focus on the things they say is must have, and make sure you have most of it, or all. You don't always have to have all the things in the must have. Statistics have shown that women tend to not apply for jobs if they don't have everything that is asked. We need to stop that. If you have 80%, please go ahead and apply. Now, if you have 20%, okay, I'm not sure what we would do with that one, but when you have like 70, 80%, please do apply for the job. There's some times where something else you may have may be very important to the job. They just don't know it until they see it on your profile, okay? We live in an AI world now, so it's not just people reaching out and reading your resumes. We also have AI searching, so you want to always make sure that there are some keywords from that job description that is in your resume. So you may sometimes, every now and then you have to tweak it, but I would say don't overdo it, okay? When you are putting your resume together, we're going to gloss over the quick facts here. Let's go quickly to a few things that you need to have in your resume. A lot of people always say, do you need a cover letter? In many cases you do. Sometimes you may not, but it's always better to write one, and if you are writing it, you can personalize it. You won't know the person who's hiring name, so it's okay to say to the recruiter or to the hiring manager, or if you know the manager's title, in some of the jobs they'll tell you you're going to report to VP of this. You can say to the VP of this. All the information you're given in the job description, use it to personalize it as you send it back to the company. Okay? Now let's go to the design of your resume. So this was what I was talking about when you see these little light bulbs. On the first page of your resume, you know that 10-20 seconds you have? You want to make sure you put a summary there. The summary is not, I have an MBA. It's not, I have certifications. It's not that. What your summary is a short list of why you are excellent. If you're in an elevator and you see the VP of Information Technology, if you're a techie, and he's standing right there and he says, hey, so what do you do? That information you tell him in that 30 seconds you have him there is what you want in your summary, okay? As far as writing your summary, you want to make sure that you list your most valued and relevant skills. So if you are a cyber person, you'll notice I tend to switch into the tech because that's what I know a lot of. If you're a cyber person, when I look at your summary, I should know you're a cyber person. If you are a banking person and you've been doing some amazing things in banking, when I look at your summary, I should know that's what you do. You want to make sure it captures who you are, because remember, your resume is talking for you when you're not in the room, okay? You're not there to tell them all the amazing things you do. Your resume is doing that, so you want to capture their attention. So summary, you need a summary. I can't stress this enough. You need a summary, you need one that's striking, that's powerful, and basically makes me want to say, wow, this person is awesome. Let me call them right now. That's what you want your summary to do. Okay? So whatever it is that in the job you do that makes you unique, that makes it like everybody comes to you, that's what you want to go for. If you have amazing presentation skills along what you do for your job, put it in there. It doesn't have to be long, but the things that you do that you're amazing at, that nobody can talk to you, so to speak, that's what you want to make sure is shown in your summary, because that's how you catch the attention of whoever's looking at it. A lot of times you see things like, you know, the generic term, I'm results driven, excellent communication. If you're not results driven, and you don't have excellent, you can't communicate, you're not a team player, why are we here? We won't even be talking, right? You won't be searching for a job. So those are things that those are given at this point. It's expected. So save your space, you know that small space you have? Save it for the things that's really, really important. So leave that out. Make it immediately clear that you have what it takes to excel. You know how sometimes you go to a room, you see somebody walk into an event, and everybody turns around and they look. The person hasn't said anything yet, right? You want your resume to do that. That as soon as somebody looks at it, they start calling each other, no, you have to hire this person. Because believe me, it does happen. Now, when you put that on your resume, my disclaimer is you have to make sure you can walk the talk. Don't have a fantastic resume, we're going to get to that. Don't have a fantastic resume, and then when you show up, it's like two different people, okay? So always highlight your areas of expertise and the things that are most relevant to the job you're applying to. So for example, if you're applying for the job as a truck driver, right? Having a history of no accidents, no tickets, super important to that job, right? If you're a long haul driver, you're a long haul trucker, and you're applying for a job, you want to let them know, I'm a long haul driver. Some people are not. So the things that make you unique and perfect fit for that job, you definitely want to do that. Okay? It's also okay to make sure that you focus on the things that you've achieved. If there's something you've achieved really quick, I'm going to show you an example next. So an example of a summary is somebody that says, developed, managed, and aligned the technology roadmap to business goals. This was a multi-year roadmap of technology investments to improve infrastructure, reduce costs, and increase efficiency. There was a 23% savings over a 3-year period that allowed emerging technology implementations. So what did this person say? Said that I did this, this, this. This is what they got out of it. This is how they benefited, and this was how I succeeded. So whatever you do, If you are somebody that, for example, if you are a bank teller, and I happen to have friends that started that years ago, and I remember them saying, at the end of the day, you can't be short, your money has to be right, you can't have errors and things like that. If you have a history that you've never had issues and all of that, that's something you highlight in a space like this. If you are efficient, you want to highlight it. The second one is another example just of a technology one, so we'll skip through. When you have your summary, then you want to say your experience. We need to know what you've done. How are you a superstar? The experience place. This is your space to brag. Please brag. We don't talk about ourselves doing good things. Oftentimes, people don't come to us to tell us we're doing good either. They come to you when you're not doing good, right? So this is a space where you tell people, I'm good at what I do, right? My sister here, she is amazing at branding. She's good at that. I'm not. Why? Because that's a specialty area that she's good at. And I guarantee you, if you meet her anywhere, you're going to know real quick. She specializes in that because you're going to talk about what it is you are good at. If you don't tell people what you're good at, how are they going to know? So remember, the resume is talking when you're not there. Okay? List your most recent roles first. Continue to write in first person. And that way it's easy for you to continue. If you start writing, for example, if you started out your summary and you said manage this and you're using past tense and all of that, right? Keep the same way you're writing. Don't come to the second part and say managing. So keep it consistent. Whichever way you're writing, just be consistent in whatever you're reading. Whatever you're writing. Always focus on accomplishments. That's the reason why I highlighted it. Responsibilities? Not really. We don't really need to know that every night you made sure that the server room is locked and this and that. No. But we want to know that the work you did resulted in the company being more efficient, that they had 99.9% uptime. I'm pretty sure all of us in everything we do, whether it's banking, work, whatever, when the system is down, none of us are happy. So if you are a tech person and you're responsible for that, you want to have 99.9% uptime. So that's something you always want to put there. Your accomplishments, it's easy to, if you're trying to figure out what are your accomplishments, the easiest way to do it, your accomplishments would either make the company money, save the company money, or make the company more efficient. It could be all three, it could be two, but an accomplishment of yours somehow has to tie into that one way or the other. And no matter how small you think your job is, if you are the person that is the janitor of the building, your accomplishments actually help save the company money. Let me tell you how. If the floor is not swept and it's not mopped and somebody slips and falls there, who's paying for that lawsuit? It's the company. You're saving the company money. So in everything you do, you're doing something for the company. Otherwise, they wouldn't be paying all of us, right? Now, you now have a section where you will go to, and the last part, when you list your experience, then after that you list your education, your training, your credentials, your certifications. I can say this since I'm Nigerian. We love our credentials. We love our titles. Don't put it on the first page. The only time you put education on the first page is if you're a student, and if you're a student, you've been a student for the last 4 years. So you're going to put that at the first page because that's what you're doing. And then if you have co-ops and things, you list it. So that's usually the only exception, okay? Other than that, your education comes towards the back. Keep it simple, okay? If you graduated, I graduated Humber, class of 93. You will never find that on my resume, right? Let me tell you why. I hate to admit this, but there is something called ageism. You just need to say you graduated Humber College, computer program diploma. Whatever you graduated, no need to put it in there. Especially as you are more seasoned, okay? So let's leave that one out. Now, for certifications, some certifications are lifetime. Some certifications expire. I came from the Microsoft world. So that's why I said, do not include things that are super old. Microsoft 98 certification should not be on your resume, okay? MCSA should not be on your resume for like, Windows Vista. You should not have things that are super old on your resume as your certification, okay? Credentials are great. If there's any training you've taken, it's perfectly fine to listen. You don't have to always certify in it. You can take some training just because you want to learn about something. It is perfectly fine to put it on there too, okay? Keep it clean, keep it simple, and you should be good. So your resume is fire. It's awesome. You've looked at it, people have helped you look at it. Now what do we do next, right? We're gonna search for a job, hopefully. One thing that I will say, and the reason why we have this light bulb here, whether you are writing a resume or you're in a job, keep a running list of completed projects, kudos, and numbers of things that you do that's successful. Let me help break it down for you. End of year performance comes, and you're trying to remember what you did all year, right? You had, over the course of the year, you had like 20 people email your boss, email you, thank you, you're so awesome, this and that. You can't find those emails. Make yourself a nice little folder, save all your kudos, save everything, anything anybody says you did good on, save it. Any projects you successfully delivered, save it. If you are self-employed and you do things, maybe you get referrals, recommendations, when you finish, save anything that makes you look good, make sure you have it saved. The reason why is at the end of the year, for example, you might want to get a raise, right? You can't just say, I did my job this year, I'd like a raise. No. You know how TMZ has receipts? You always want to have receipts. And in a good way. You want to be able to quickly show your value, so always keep that. Stay organized. When you're searching for your jobs, we're going to go through a few things here. Keep a spreadsheet of all the jobs you apply to, and I'll tell you why. When a recruiter calls you, and you say, what job is this again? We kind of pause and we put you on mute. It's like, okay, let me help you out here, right? If you catch the wrong recruiter on the wrong day, it's a wrap, okay? So, or if they tell you the job and then you say, oh, so what was the job about? Not the greatest. That's why I said the second one, plan ahead. Save a copy of the job description. Copy, paste, put it in a Word document, put the company name. Be organized as you're searching for a job. All of us have looked for jobs at one point in time, and it's not the greatest time, it's not the greatest feeling, especially when you don't have a job and you're looking for one, right? But if you stay organized, on the long run, it'll help you. It'll also help if somebody's trying to submit you to a job and you've already applied to it. You can tell them, hey, I applied to the job already, and then it can be a different process. But you have to know where you're applying to. You know when you just keep on clicking, clicking, clicking? You might want to keep an eye on, see where you're going, okay? Now, those personal connections, I can't say this loud enough. Use them. Please. You're applying for a technical job at Cisco. Your brother-in-law works at Cisco. Your frat brother works at Cisco. Have them refer you into the job, okay? Almost every company has an internal referral system, okay? In some cases, or in many cases, the referrals actually get looked at, okay? So, and they may get looked at before the external applications come in. So always use your connections. Somebody's connected on LinkedIn that you have a rapport with, reach out to them. When you are searching for a job, is not the time to be coy or to be shy or to say, I don't want to bother them. Why not? Closed mouths will not get fed. If you don't speak up, there's an adage that said everything about you will be silent with you. You have to speak up. And your way is to use people you know. So strategize. Try not to apply for everything. You know the things you're good at. I've seen jobs where we're saying we need to hire a security consultant. Sorry, a cyber security consultant. And I've seen somebody that was a cook apply to the job. So obviously that person was not reading the title. You see it, you're like, okay, I'm not sure what I should do with this one, but okay. So be intentional about your job search. When filling out the job applications, for this one, I'm actually going to just beg everyone. I'm going to beg you. If you are currently a BA a project manager, IT manager, that's what your title is, right? If you're a bank manager, that's what you do, right? Just because you're laid off, fired, whatever it is, and you're no longer doing that, the title you put when you go to search and they say, what's your current title? Don't put unemployed in there. You are not unemployed, you're not working, but your title is whatever you do. I've seen people say unemployed, I've seen jobless, and I've seen in between jobs as the job title. So I'm sitting there like, okay, for example, if I'm looking for an IT risk analyst, and your previous job title is an IT risk analyst, and you put IT risk analyst, and your cousin sitting next to you just puts jobless. When I'm looking at the job titles, who do you think I'm going to open up first? I'm looking at the person that is an IT risk analyst. If that person looks like what we're looking for, click and send. I may not get to the one that's jobless, right? So please, let's not do that one. I never believed I'd be saying that, but I've seen it so many times, and it's not even a junior level. I've seen senior seasoned people do it too. So we're not jobless and we're not unemployed. LinkedIn is free. Use LinkedIn to speak for you when you are offline and when people are doing searches, okay? It's a powerful tool, so you want to make sure you set it up right. So we're going to run through that. Your profile must be a reflection of your resume. So if your resume is up to date and it's got all the stuff, try to go to your LinkedIn and make sure it's up to date too. We don't want your LinkedIn stuck in 2005 and your resume is in 2020. The last thing you want somebody to wonder is, this person doesn't seem like they're organized, or I'm not sure if I should hire them. You don't want to give them any kind of doubt whatsoever to do that. So using LinkedIn as a job search tool. I have a bunch of things I put in here. You have your headline in there. There's a way, LinkedIn can sometimes automatically make your headline tool for you. You can go in and edit it to make it something eye-catching, so that when they search for you, it's not just your name that comes up. Recommendations. We always ask people to write recommendations. Be mindful of who's writing recommendations. If you have your homeboy that is a prankster and thinks, often thinks that everything is a joke, don't have him write your recommendation. Your recommendation is going to be there for everybody to see. Make sure that whoever's writing it, and then give them an idea of what you're looking for them to write so that they know. You have a summary spot in your LinkedIn profile. Similar to the resume, I actually copied mine off my resume I might need to update my LinkedIn myself. My summary there is pretty much the summary that I had in my resume. You don't have to rewrite it. Once you have a resume that's up to go, you have it and you can use it for so many things. Your experience, this will mirror your resume. It'll have companies, it'll have the times you worked there. Same thing, focus on accomplishments, and that's what people are always looking to do for your on your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good tool because everybody goes there. If you're going for a job interview, you better believe that the recruiter has gone and creeped you and taken a look and to see what and what is where. If you said you worked at Ford Motor Company, they're probably going to go look and see, okay, let's see if you work. Now, if your resume says you worked at Ford in 2008, and then on LinkedIn it says you worked at 2005, I'll give you a side eye, like, okay, why are you not consistent? It won't rule you out, but then it's giving me that, why are they not consistent? It's the little details. Now, job searching during unusual times like a pandemic. The first thing I'd like everyone to remember is no one has navigated a pandemic in recent times, so be kind to yourself. Cut yourself some slack, okay? Everything may not necessarily go as you plan, so let's take a look at a couple of things. Many of us are now remote workers, and we're probably going to be remote workers for a while, okay? Actually, next slide. So we're going to highlighting any of your remote working skills, collaboration tools, anything that's related to how we work now is super important. Whether it's in a conversation or on your resume, you might want to highlight that too. Because at this point, we're looking for folks that can do that too. Most conferences and training sessions are discounted heavily. A lot of them are free too, okay? So you should be able to get that at a discounted price. Try attending a few. Some of the websites have a lot of them that are published, and some of them you will find coming off of LinkedIn. There are a lot of things also in LinkedIn Learning that are free. Okay? So there are a lot of things out there. File sharing tools. Get familiar with file sharing tools, video conferencing, so Zoom, WebEx, remote collaboration tools. A lot of us, we chat back and forth. We have groups that we chat in when we're working and doing homework. You want to definitely look at that. So you search for the job. You found a couple of jobs. You kind of like the jobs and they like you too. Now they said, let's interview you. On a normal day, we would go in person, right? Previously, we would always be in person. So these items apply to in-person and virtual interviews. Now, when we say virtual interviews, keep in mind, sometimes a virtual interview could be just phone or video. My advice is to plan and prepare for a video call, always. Sometimes the person might decide to just call you, or they might decide to use the WebEx or Zoom, but they may turn their camera off, and it's okay. If they have their camera off, you don't have to have yours on. You can ask about it, but if they have their camera on, you should have yours on too. So I would say always plan ahead, and we're gonna go through a bunch of things there. Always plan ahead to do a video call. Now, whenever you go to an interview, even when you have the jitters and you're kind of shaky, you're nervous, show up like you're walking out of the door with that job offer at every single time. Even when you think you have only 70%, show up to that interview like you are going to walk away with the job. You know how they always say back in the day when we're younger, they always say that if the dog is coming around and you show fear, the dog can sniff it right away. People always know when you're not confident. So show up to the interview. Now, don't be cocky when you get there. There's confidence and then there's cocky, okay? Let's not go to the cocky side. Nobody likes somebody that's cocky. So show up and then practice. I can't stress this enough. Practice, practice, practice. Practice questions. Have conversations with people that you trust that are, don't go to the person that's gonna say, yeah, you're good, you're good. No, go to the person that you know is your hardest critique. That's who you need in your corner, okay? It's better for you to go to the hardest critique, and your interviewer is much easier than your critique, okay? There are two questions that are always funny at an interview. Tell me about yourself. No, do not tell them, I like eating jollof, I like to travel, no, that's not what they're asking. They don't care, okay? What you want to do is you want to make sure you keep it short, keep it simple. Remember that elevator pitch that I told you, that summary? Use that. Then you can add one or two things in there that are personal, okay? But for the most part, we don't want to know, I like cats, I have 10 dogs. No, don't do it. When they say, why are you interested in this job? Please, do not say your company is great, I've always wanted to work for your company. It's great, we know it's great, but you're looking for a job. The reason why you want to work for that company, hopefully you've done some homework, you're looking for a new job and you want to know what that new job will do for you. You also want to know what you're going to do for the company because they're paying you money to do something. Focus on that. Adisha, why do you want to work for RBC? I want to work for RBC because there's an opportunity for me to take this particular role at that time, learn the role, grow, but at the same time, I can bring in amazing talent. I'm saying what it is I can do, but I'm also saying what I'm getting out of it. It's a give to get, okay? And yes, we're still going to talk about practice one more time. So, get a trusted friend or mentor. Record yourself. Everybody has cell phones now. Well, a few people might still have flip phones, but we won't talk about them. Record yourself. Practice videotaping yourself. It's amazing what you pick up when you watch yourself later on. You're like, ooh, I said the word like 10 times within 2 minutes. It's a very good way. You will self-critique and you have somebody else help you correct yourself. Your goal is to always appear emotive natural and at ease. You know how you go to some places and you see some people and this is all they look at? The entire 30 minutes, nothing changes. There's no emotion on their face, nothing. There's no smile. When you're talking on the phone and you have a smile on your face, it's always easy to detect. So think about it. It could be a rough day. Anything could have happened. When you have to get on the phone, find a way to put a smile on your face. It'll change how you sound completely. And if somebody has done something at home that has kind of irritated you, then try to sort that out before. But the tone of your voice and how your emotions sound and how you look always will come over, okay? Now, let's talk about these virtual interviews. This light bulb is here. I wanted to actually have this blinking like this. Technology will do a Zoom call. You have low bandwidth. And your Zoom call is flicking in and out on an interview. And the kids are having the time of their life. Somebody's gaming in one room. If you have to, when you're doing an interview or you're presenting something like this, my kids will laugh and tell you, if I'm doing something and I'm doing it at home, everybody's coming off the internet. The reason why is you don't want to have, in the middle of that, your internet craps out. If you're tethering off your phone, make sure you're in a place where you have good signal. It's super important. Now, let's really dig into virtual interviews. You still need to show up properly dressed. You may not need to wear a suit and tie, but a collared shirt. No interviews in a hoodie. There should be no reason why. If you're wearing a t-shirt, probably not, especially if your t-shirt has stuff written in front of it. Just get a collared shirt. For women, a dress is fine. Simple colors are great. Check your sound and invest in a microphone. Now, a lot of the newer phones have amazing microphones in them that actually sound much better than your laptops, okay? So if you're doing a Zoom call for an interview, use your phone. The video and the microphone on your phone is probably 5 or 10 times better than what's on your laptop, okay? So use that, but check it to see what it sounds like. Your camera height, make sure your camera height is okay. And I can't stress this enough of the positioning of your camera for virtual interviews. When you have your laptop kind of like this, your camera is going under your nose right here. Your interviewer is seen under your nose and under your chin. Not cute. Make sure you're at the right level. If you need to, put your laptop on top of phone books, I put mine on top of a cereal box once because that was the only thing that was flat and would work. Whatever you need to do, put it on something and make sure it is properly flat and you don't have that issue. If you can close a door, it's great. If you can be alone, I know sometimes we don't necessarily have that opportunity because COVID has all of us inside the house. Remove all clutter and distractions. You know those swivel chairs? I was interviewing somebody one day, and this is all he kept doing through the whole interview. And as much as I have kids around me often, it was still distracting to me. He didn't realize he was doing it. He was sitting in a swivel chair and he was swiveling, he's going back and forth. So I'm trying to keep looking at him and talking. So if you can avoid a swivel chair, don't use one. Everything behind you is visible when you're on camera. A lot of us have seen many videos of our kids in school and the parents trying to do other things in the house, and it's on camera. So everything behind you can be seen. So if you are in a room and everybody is out, whatever it is, just know that everything behind you, in the corners you think that nobody can see, is very visible. Try to create a well-lit space. So the lights are important. Home Depot, Lowe's, and all that, they have those daylight bulbs that when you put it on, it looks like your daylight outside. You could switch to those ones. That's probably the cheapest cost. If you're using a phone, they're the very small ring lights like the one we have here. They're small ones that you can attach to your phone and it clips to your laptop. There's some that clip to your laptop and it's very small, but it gives you that light so that it actually is bright in your face. Worst case, if you don't have anything, if you have a lamp, put the lamp on the other side of you and test it out to make sure the lighting looks right. So again, practice, review your video, see what it looks like. When you have a window behind you, the person that's seeing you is going to be blinded by the light in the window, okay? So all of those things are something that's important. Practice looking at the camera. So know where your camera angle is, know where you're supposed to be looking, and all that. Now, there's a lot going on for everyone right now. So when you're going through the interviews, whatever works for you. So whether it is, we just want you in there with a positive mindset, right? So if it's, if someone that has mantras, affirmations, if you pray, if you have hype music, whatever works for you, meditation, make sure you get that so you get rid of the jitters, okay? Because you might have to finish doing stuff at home and then you have to do and have everything looking all right to go sit in an interview. And it's not always an easy conversion, okay? You want to make sure that you are able to talk to your interviewer and have a conversation. Because remember, you see, when you're in an office sitting across from them, if they're not, you can read body language, right? But when you're in a virtual interview, it's a lot harder to read body language because you're not seeing them sometimes. So on your end, whatever you can do to make you feel more at ease will help out. We always say convey warmth during an interview. I mean, there's always that saying, you get more with honey than vinegar. So you want to always appear like things are good. The pandemic has made people a lot more empathetic to so many things. You see, before, if you call someone and you're hearing a dog barking or you're in a meeting, you'd be like, oh, there's a dog barking. Now, look, if you have to talk and you unmute yourself and that's when the dog decides to bark, that's just when the dog decides to bark, okay? Many of us we're not worried about that. Or we shouldn't be worried about that is what I would say, right? Or we've had where somebody is talking and you hear a child just crash. Go ahead and put me on mute and go get your child. I've had to do that. I'm like, no. And I'll tell you in the beginning, I say, if during this call there happens to be an emergency, please let me know, we'll mute, I will wait, and you can go take care of it. Because people have children at home. So I think it's a lot of times, if you are the interviewing manager, because I'm sure there are managers among us, we can definitely show a little bit more empathy as we go along. Remember to ask pertinent questions. Now, in the pandemic, normally when you are going to work, you show up, your laptop is there, whatever your tool is to work, it's given to you, it's all set. It's a little bit different now, so it's perfectly fine. When they ask you, do you have any questions for me? Yeah. What's the onboarding like in a virtual environment for your company, right? How will they be helping you get ramped up? Because it's a different experience, When you start work, you have a lot of questions. And when you're in the office, you can easily go ask someone like, hey, right now it's not the same. So most places have web Teams or Skype chats and all of that, but it's still a good question to ask. You can ask if the virtual environment has changed the role in any way. Most managers, they're the ones hiring. Believe me, they know what has changed because they've had to adapt and make it workable for the team. I have a sign on my door. And when that sign is on my door at home, unless the house is flooding, there's a medical emergency, or there's a fire, nobody opens my door. It's super important for you to have one. Make it fun, right? But I think it's great for you to have there, because you don't want to be on an interview and someone goes, knock, 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 right? And then say, oh, sorry. Let's not do that. Right? A sign, so you could have a sticky thing, and I even have it where the kids have theirs. They'll stick a sign on the door, so if it's there, I don't knock, you can't go in there when they're on Zoom calls for class. Even though you can't physically shake your interviewer's hands, it's still important that you remember to email them afterwards. At the end of the interview, remember to say thank you. Follow-up is never going to go out of style. Okay? Now, sometimes we want to change careers. Some of us have done it once, maybe twice in our careers, right? Sometimes it's an almost easy switch. You're going from one side of something to another side. It's not too far off, right? Whether it's an easy switch or you're changing completely, there's this thing we call transferable skills. So there are going to be some skill sets in your current job that you're easily going to be able to take and use in your next job. Those are your transferable skills. I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's use my own as an example. So I worked in technology for a number of years in different ways, right? So I had to understand technology. I had to be able to work with people. I had a lot of meetings. We love meetings. A lot of meetings, a lot of interaction, and a lot of communication, written and verbal, right? When I was going to switch and I was going to become a recruiter, as much as I knew technology, I was not yet a recruiter. I had to learn to be a recruiter. But what I brought to the table was I understood technology inside out. I knew how to communicate with people. Talking in front of a room was never a problem. I knew how to write stuff and get things together. So all of those skills were my transferable skills that brought me into here. Now, let's not fool ourselves and say when you're switching careers, it's going to be an easy switch going. It's going to be a lot of work. But you see those transferable skills? Your goal is to prove that the skills you had in your current career can be moved to your new one, and how. So if you're moving from a role where maybe you are an event planner for a large company, and then now you want to become a facilitator for training, they're two different jobs, right? But as an event planner, you have to be organized. You have to know how to strike deals, how to get bargains, how to move things around. You have to know how to deal with people. At an event, think of every event you've gone to, weddings, whatever it is. For things to run smoothly, the event planner has to be on point. You will not see the event planner in high heels. They will be in sneakers or flat shoes because they're going to be everywhere, right? If an event planner is now planning to move into facilitating training sessions, what are they doing? They're making sure everybody signs on. They're making sure the material is delivered. She's communicating with people. She's the first person to know when something is wrong. Those are all transferable skills. She may have to learn how to use the software and a whole bunch of other stuff, but she's bringing across skills from her old career into her new career. That's what we mean when we say those transferable skills. And those skills are gold. Don't underestimate those skills. Now, one of the things you want to do is you will be using your resume, of course, to tell the story that matches the new position's requirements, right? You want to make sure you look for the things they're looking for in the new one, in the new job, and see the things in your current job that you're doing. And then you kind of have to figure out how to write your summary to be able to speak to that. Okay? That is how you would get them to understand. Now, the caution I have in there is don't create an everything under the sink. I know how to do everything. Nobody does. But you see those spots that you are good at? You want to highlight them. Whatever you're good at and you know, you know. And then whatever you don't know, the thing about transferring and moving into a new career is, you see that willingness, the openness to wanting to learn, that hunger of wanting to learn. Most of the time people can feel it and understand it. Somebody always needs to take a chance on somebody at all times. Somebody's got to take a chance on you at one point in time or the other. How they do that is when they feel, okay, you know what? This person is here. We can train them go from here to here. And then they can now go from here to excellent. Once they feel that you have what it takes to be trainable, most of the time you'll be able to get in. Okay. Is it worth the time to carefully review the job postings and make sure things are looking right? Absolutely it is. It absolutely is when you do your homework. Use your resume, headline, summary, and all of those brief stories about accomplishments. Use that to kind of give information about what you're doing now and how it ties into the new stuff. Okay. Don't hesitate to address discrepancies or differences between what you do now and what you do later. It is perfectly fine to say, let's take, for example, somebody is a loan processor and they know the whole loan processing system inside out for, let's say, mortgages, right? You know the operations. You know what happens when somebody clicks apply until when it ends. And then you decide later on, I want to become a business analyst. When you go for business analysis training and you learn how to do the job, you learn how to do all of those things, what helps you is you have the business domain knowledge, okay? But you're gonna go learn how to be a BA. Now, if you're a smart person, what you wanna do is, if you already know this domain and you wanna transition into a BA, why not find a job that is in that particular domain? Why? You're new at learning how to be a BA, yes, but you know that domain inside out. So when you're coming to try to fix problems, you've probably seen many of those problems as you've done your job every day, right? So I would say, make sure you understand what it is you're trying to go for. There's always infographics. Some people, depending on what area of business you're in, some people have online profiles that are saved, and they use that. Now, recruiters and hiring managers, what are they really looking for? It's not possible to say this is what they're looking for every time, right? But the guidelines is they love the ability to identify and solve problems. If you're that person that just identifies problems and you never have a solution, they're not going to be impressed with you. Think of it, if you have a teammate and all they do, that doesn't work, this is a problem, and they never, not once, have a solution, and then you always have to figure out the solution, it gets tiring. So you want to identify problems and provide solutions. The solutions don't always even have to be right, but what happens is you can bring up an idea and somebody else can add extra to it, and between 2-3 of you, you guys have it already fixed. But it started because you brought up the initial part of the solution, right? Now, we always love somebody that can come in and can ramp up fairly quickly. When you start a job and it takes you 1.5 years to get solid, that's a long time for your teammates to be picking up the extras, okay? So a lot of times, there are some times where yes, there's an ability, there's the, I would say the bandwidth and the time that when you come in, you could have 6 months, 1 year to learn the job. But think of it, a lot of times when hiring managers, especially right now, people are hiring, they're hiring most likely because of a backfill, okay? So which means somebody was doing the job. They're no longer there for whatever reason. Maybe they got promoted or they left. In the meantime, somebody else is doing that job, or a few people are doing that job. So if you want to be hired and it's going to take you 1 year to ramp up, the hiring manager in his head is going to be, his or her head is going to be saying, wow, that's going to be a long time. But if you're somebody that can quickly ramp up, you really look great to the team. You want to have the ability to cultivate agility and a professional growth mindset. So what that means is simple. You're doing something here, oh, you know what? We're going to have to change priorities. We're going to have to do this one now, and then we'll come back to that later. If you're a person that is like, no, I don't want to do that. I have to finish this one first. It'll be a little hard to work with you, right? But if you're able to change directions as the business needs, we're always going to look for that. And a lot of times you can find that in people's resumes based on what they've done. The desire to hone your timely skill and your timeless skills. There are 2 types of skill sets you would have. There's a type of skill set that you have, if you're a techie, for example, things go obsolete, right? So those are timely skills. You have to keep updating them. But there's some skill sets you have that are timeless. They're always going to be with you. The art of problem solving, the art of being a strategical person that is able to, when you're strategic and you can think through things, when everybody's panicking, running around like, oh my God, and you're that person that's like, no, we do this, we do that. They're always going to look for you for that, okay? One of the things I want to leave folks with is when you spend most of your time interacting with people in person, it's not easy to switch and go virtual. I used to work 50% virtual, and then now I'm 100% virtual. It was still a different type of work for me because I was used to, I could go sit at Starbucks and work. I could go to the office a couple of times. Now we're not going anywhere. So think of it this way. It won't be perfect. You're just going to be able to make it work. And remember to take breaks. If you're a manager, I would say leading with empathy. If there's ever a time that we need to lead with empathy, this is definitely it. We want to lead with empathy at this time because people are not working from home right now. They're at home working. They're at home and they're trying to work because home is always going to be there. Okay, so the important thing is to always be yourself, keep things professional, and then beyond interviews, meeting people, having conversations, I would say as you go along and try to work on stuff, keep an eye out for changes. If you normally work with somebody and it turns out that, you know, normally they respond a certain way and all of a sudden now they're just snappy. I know we're now live in a clap-back nation. You know, everybody just clapping back anyhow. Not necessarily a good time to do that. You might want to just let them, let them be. If it's somebody that you have enough of a relationship with, say, hey, you good? Is there anything I can do? What I found is sometimes when you ask people, are you okay? The automatic answer is, yes, I'm okay. But when you ask somebody, is there anything I can do to make your day easier? You'll be very surprised that they might actually tell you something. It could be something as easy as, I just need to take an extra long lunch break today because I have a headache. And that may just be all they need. So that would be the only thing I would say as far as job searching, working, and changing things in the pandemic, okay? So I will be transferring over to my colleague, and then we will definitely take some questions. The other thing I was going to say is that I'll have my email up in case we don't have enough time for all the questions. I'll have my email up, hello@shadetalks.com, that I'll take a look at. If you have questions and you send me things, I'm more than happy to answer them in case we don't get to all of them, but we'll put it up, okay?
Of a brand new thing. That means a brand master at a brand strategy consultant called A Brand New Thing, where she helps entrepreneurs bring their wildest business dreams to life. Her 11 years of career experience has primed her to lead various transformative projects for small businesses. Global corporations positioned her for awards and recognitions on the national and international stage. In 2014, her contribution to the Canadian economy were recognized by the House of Commons. In 2017, she was welcomed to speak before the executive leadership of Royal Bank of Canada and 1,000+ employees on her social collaboration expertise. Today, she has hosted several personal branding workshops and business consultants, while also managing her mentorship and nonprofit Imdornit. Please welcome Ms. Dami AJILORE.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Oh. How's everyone doing tonight? Good. I can't see your smiles, but I can tell from your eyes if you're smiling. So somebody here is not smiling, but okay. Okay, so great work for Sade Talks. Can we give it up for Sade Talks one more time? Quite a lot. Your elevator pitch pretty much goes in your summary section. So if you get stuck in an elevator, you want to introduce yourself to someone, what is that thing that you're putting in your summary section of your resume? That is your elevator pitch. We're going to go over a little bit of that, which is going to help you with a lot of what Sade Talks has talked about. Now, put your education at the end of your resume. I know that sometimes, a lot of times, you feel like your education is like the most important thing, which it is, but it's not. It's important, but it's not the most important. So if you are like older, in like 50 years old, and you graduated in 1991, put it at the end of your resume, and walk in like you've already got the job. So we're going to be talking about personal branding today. So you want to walk in like you own the space, but you don't want to be cocky. You want to be confident. There's a difference. Check the dictionary. You will understand better. Give to get. Tell them what you're looking to get and what you're looking to give. Whenever you exist in a society that you do not want to give anything, you might as well not be asking them to help you out. So thank you for your talk. It was super, super amazing, and I hope you guys learned a lot. So today we're going to be talking about personal branding. How many people know what personal branding is? One. Oops, okay. That's kind of good, because I'm going to help you out. Let's go to the top. So this moment was actually when I first started to think a little bit more about my personal brand. So who am I? You know, that's the big question. God puts you on this earth. He does not exactly say, hello, DAMILOLA, you kind of need to figure that out, right? So that is personal branding. Essentially, it is your purpose plus your plan. So this moment was at RBC when I was being introduced by the CFO of RBC to speak in front of a lot of strangers, including the chief executive officers. We're playing the video now, but because of time, I'm actually going to skip all the playing and all of those different things that really would be super helpful to you. It's on YouTube. Yeah, you can watch it on my profile. So next slide, please. Technical difficulty-ish. Okay. Okay. So for me, what's worked has been people, purpose, passion, positioning, putting my hand up, and publicity. So when I say people, I'm really just saying that you put people at the center of whatever you do and you are bound to succeed. The reason for that is when you're helping people out, you're giving them stuff. When you give people value, they come back to you and then they can ask you, okay, how can I help you? What do you need from me? So people has been super, super critical in building a personal brand. Your purpose, understanding exactly why you exist, critical. Your passion, do you know exactly what you're passionate about? Sometimes people say they can't make money because, passion doesn't make money, but passion makes money when you know what your purpose is, right? So you want to be sure about what you're passionate about. Positioning, where exactly in the ecosystem of life do you exist? You might say you're a business analyst, but there are a million business analysts. What is your difference? What is the thing that makes you unique? I've kind of figured out mine, so that's my positioning. So what is in your personal ecosystem? That's a question you want to be able to answer. We're going to go through all of these different things, so relax, it's going to be okay. Now, whenever there is an opportunity based on what you are able to do, you always want to put your hand up. There is comfort in staying at home and saying you're not going to do anything, but there is not much extra value from just sitting back. Whenever there's an opportunity to help, you raise your hand up and you say, I can do it because one, that is in line with your purpose. Two, you are passionate about that thing. Publicity, you want to become your own PR agent. You have to publicize yourself. Like, I don't know you. You know what you're good at. You have to go out and say, I've done all of these things. This is who I am. But you kind of want to do that on a consistent basis. It is by doing this consistently that I would immediately think, who sells moi moi? Oh, she's been posting my moi for like 1 million times. Okay, I'm going to go to this moi moi lady because every Saturday on her Instagram, moi moi fresh moi moi from the overall fresh moi moi. That is because she's always talking about it, right? That is publicity. So those are the kinds of things that make up your personal brand. Next slide. You're going to have to be fast, okay? So what are you going to learn from this session? A refined strategy for digital footprint and your online presence, a clear message that highlights your uniqueness, tips to grow your online brand, and end-to-end mapping of how other people experience you. Ideally, there would be a workshop and we'll talk and then you write and all of that, but I'm going to speed through it because of time and yeah, nobody has pencils and pens here, so it looks like you kind of just want to get the information. I promise it'll be good. Next slide. So everywhere you see exercise, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be me explaining it to you. Technical difficulties. Okay, I'm gonna try to speak from here as well, and I hope that you can still see what's happening. Nope. Okay. Maybe I should sing in the meantime. La 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 la. It's almost Christmas. La 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 la. Okay, so this was a video. We're gonna skip it. Oops, gone. Okay, so what is personal branding? Personal branding is how you position yourself for growth in any industry. So you want to be the expert in that space, right? So that is pretty much how do people perceive you? When people think about you, when people see you, what are they thinking? You want to shape that story for them. You don't want to just have them decide. You want to create what that story is going to be. The conscious effort of shaping how people perceive you and what your opinions are is personal branding. It is living intentionally and crafting your newsworthy story. You have to tell that story. You don't expect people to, make up things and then when you hear, you're like, that is not me. Well, what is you? You haven't told us what you are, so that is you building a personal brand. Okay, So ideally, there are recruiters always searching you online and trying to find out exactly who is this person. Like right now, I'm editing a book. I wrote a book, by the way, it's called Making Dollars. So I wrote a book and I've been looking for an editor. And for me to get the exact editor that I want to work on my book, I've done a lot of Google searching, a lot of people referring. And I do this because I want to see what their digital footprint is and which one of these people should I work with. Other people are doing the exact same thing about you. Recruiters are searching you. Before the pandemic, they were saying 96% of recruiters are searching you before even giving you a call. That means that only 4% of people weren't searching you. Now that everybody's in their house, I mean 100% of the recruiters are searching you, fact. So you want to make sure that your online digital footprint is strong enough for people to call you out and say, I want to work with you. What can you do for me? They kind of have an idea, but they kind of just want to say, is there room for negotiation? That's really what they're asking. So at that point, you can then negotiate. Personal branding is not just about looking pretty online or looking pretty in person. It's about making money from who you are. How many people want to make money here? Just 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So we all want to make money, right? So it's about making money from who you are, what your identity is. Now, why should you care? Why should you care? It helps you solidify your identity, build credibility, develop expertise, attracts opportunities, provides clarity. There is so many things that personal branding would do for you. I'm sure if Denzel Washington walked in here right now, you'd probably be like, oh, I know this guy, or Oprah, or Obama. These are names that I don't have to repeat twice because they've done something. They've been somebody. Now, when people think about you, who have you been? That's the question that they're asking. Who are you? When you walk in, there has to be a statement. There has to be an identity. You need to own a space in people's minds. What is that space? That's a question that I want you to, like, when you go to bed and you're dreaming, what is that space I own? What is that space? That is a question I want you to ask when you're going to bed. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, kind of have an idea. So we'll go through a few things. So ideally, I want you to go through, I do this one and this one. They are not matching at this point because you've passed me. But yeah, next. Yeah, so these are strong personal brands, Oprah, Obama. Yeah, you know, I wanted to know, when you think of Michelle Obama, what comes to mind?
Elegance.
Elegance. Anybody else?
Barack.
Pardon?
Barack.
I said, when you think of Michelle Obama. Barack Obama. Look, we are strong women. We own our own spaces. We have our own identity. Like, we are strong women. Intelligent? Intelligence. Barack is true too, because a lot of times he comes first and then she comes second, but now she's carving a space for herself. And I'm sure you've read the book or maybe thought about or seen the book Becoming. That book is part of her building her own personal brand, and that book is part of her own ecosystem, which is something that we'll discuss in the future. Well, not too long. So next. I want you to read this. Next. Self-audit, this is where I was on my phone, where it's like, I want you to go back and think about who are you? Like, just think about it. What is the one word? I always want you to have one word. A lot of times for me, most things, the word that most people will say is branding. Pretty much everywhere I go is branding. That's my one word, right? Next, please. Next. Actually, go back. So ideally, when you are taking the time to do some work, I want you to think about your legacy. So think back, think into the future. 30 years from now, you're standing, this is the future. I don't know where the camera is. So this is the future and this is you here. What are you saying that happened today? I'm sorry. What are you saying that happened today? You know, what is your legacy? You have to craft the future. You don't just wait to just, oh, I'm 30 years plus. No, you kind of need to like have known what is that thing. Somebody asked me recently, what do I want to be in 5 years? And truly, where I want to be in 5 years is a state of mind. It's not actually a place, it's a state of mind. There is a state that I want my mind to be in, and it doesn't matter how I get there, but it's my state of mind. It's my own goal for 5 years. So in 30 years, what is your plan? What do you want? You have to see that thing. Obama, I'm pretty sure, my friend that says Barack Obama, I'm pretty sure he didn't wake up one morning and just like, I'm going to be the president of the United States. He had worked and planned towards that, right? So the same way for everybody, there's no extra special person in this world. Everybody has their purpose and they're supposed to do something with it. So you then need to decide, where do I want to be? And what are the things that I need to do to get there? Highlight your 3 greatest strengths, right? What are the things that you're really good at? Some people are really good at listening. Some people are really good at talking, you know. So decide, what are my really good 3 strengths and how can I really, you know, tighten this thing so that it becomes my thing. You know, highlight your 3 interests. What do I like to do? I like to cook. And to be honest with you, there are jobs that will not pay you well just because there is no extra special or passion in that thing. So there is anything in this life that you want to do, you can make money out of it because of your passion, because of your difference, because of your strength, and because of the way that you do it. Nobody will do something the exact same way as you. Your own way is special. So you need to first of all decide, what are my 3 strengths and what are the things that I'm most interested in, and then you can carve out a space for yourself to do that thing exceptionally well. There is a video that I saw recently of a man who sells, this is back in Nigeria, he sells like mangoes and fruits. He'll wear his suit, he'll dress up, and he will keep pushing. And people will look for him to buy those same fruits for him. Let me tell you, those fruits are the same fruits as somebody who is just like wearing a t-shirt and saying, come on buy, oh, come on buy, come on buy. That's the same thing, but because he's the difference maker, he'll get more traffic, he'll sell everything out because he's done something different with his own fruits. Make sense? So don't ever feel like, oh, I don't have a business analysis degree, so can I make X number? You can do something super great if you discover what your own greatness is. But you have to sit down. Next, please. So personal brand strategy. Next. So this is how I usually create a personal brand strategy. I use it based on a person where I can help you define the different parts. I can help you define the elements of your own personal brand strategy using your own body. So, for example, the eyes are vision, the brain is strategy, the ears are insights, service, values, tagline, extras, activities, all these different things I'm going to explain to you going forward. So your vision essentially is, what do you see? What is the future that you see for yourself? What are you expecting out of life? You need to paint that out. When you don't paint something out, you don't even know where you're going. You have to see something so that you can aim at it. Have you ever, just thrown a dart and you're like, oh, I want the dart to hit the center of the board, and you're closing your eyes, you haven't seen the board, and you're just like, center, has it ever ended? It would never hit because you haven't seen the board. Like, what are you thinking? So the same thing where, like, sometimes you're in the future and you're comparing your life to somebody else and you're like, well, we went to school together. What did he do that I did not do? He had a future, he planned it out, he put a board together and he saw it. It's like, this is where I want to go. And then he started walking towards it, but you never did no plans, right? So you kind of need to put your plans together and then shoot your darts. It may hit, it may miss sometimes, but like you're gonna get closer when you have a vision in sight. So I'm gonna go through all these different elements. Next slide, please. Next slide. So tone of speech. A tone of speech is part of one of the things that you do define in your personal brand strategy. And I say this because there are times where you hear certain people, if I hear that Shade Talk said something, because of the way that I know she sounds and the kinds of words that she would use, I may be hesitant to believe somebody that says she said a curse word and then she told the person to get out and go bury themselves, because she would never talk like that. So you need to be clear on what your own voice is. Do you curse? Are you somebody that your voice is calming? It's not about just the pitch of your voice, it's about the words that you use. It's about, the way that you sound. There's some people that the minute they enter a room, my pastor, for example, the minute he enters a room, I just need to hear, hallelujah. I know his voice. I know what he will say, and I know what he's not going to say. So what is your voice? What are the kinds of things that you say? You need to define that, because whenever somebody was to talk bad about you, it can easily be disputed if other people know exactly what you sound like. It's all part of your own personal brand. So next. trend and insight. You cannot walk in isolation. You cannot not know what the trends are. You cannot not know what the insights are. You need to know what's happening around you. Now there is, like 5-6 years ago, like cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity? Lots of people didn't know what that was. It's just like information security was what it was called, and and even then, the guys that worked in InfoSec were like, nobody wants to work with you guys. You kind of look boring. Now everybody's like, I'm going to do my cybersecurity exam. Like, this has been here for years, but you didn't care, right? So you need to pay attention to how are the trends moving. What is artificial intelligence? What is happening? You cannot live in isolation. As people are moving and getting more techy, you want to pay attention to that too. You can't say, me, I don't do anything digital. Well, it's COVID. Do you still not do anything digital? You can't. You have to move with the times. You need to listen for insights. You need to watch out for trends. You need to listen to feedback. Feedback is a major thing a lot of people avoid. When somebody is going to tell you, feedback is a gift. It is not a curse. It is not something to put you down. So whenever you do something, like when I finish this thing now, I want to know, guys, how did I do? Did you enjoy yourself? That is me asking you for feedback. So one, I can take it back and improve who I am, right? So it's part of building your personal brand. Next slide, please. Your values. This is very important, and I think that a lot of people overlook values a lot because they just be. It's like, I'm just being. But who are you being? Who are you? You need to know what your core values are. My own core values, for example, I have top 3 core values, and I think everybody should have their top 3, because whenever you have like 23 core values, even you cannot remember, just like, oh, what are your values? Kindness, calmness. You won't remember. So have 3 core values that whenever somebody were to describe you, they know exactly that girl, she will respond to you. If you text her now, within 24 hours you have a response. Your core value is responsiveness, for example. Some people, it's integrity. It's like, lie, no way. She says her word is her bond. If she says that she's going to do it, she's going to do it. But people need to be able to, they define you based on your own values. So decide what those 3 values, top 3 values are going to be, and stand by them. So that even if there are going to be people that do things that you don't like, but because you always remember that this is my core value, this is exactly who I want to be, this is how this is how I want them to respond or to treat me, you're going to respond to them keeping those core values as your checklist or as your way to behave. It's such like a guide. So keep in mind, or decide exactly what your core values are. Let me give you a quick tip on deciding your core values. Your core values will be based on something that is most annoying to you. So you decide whenever something super, like really, really triggers you, you kind of use that to define your core values. For example, I don't like it when people are late. I can't stand it. I will not wait. So that means that my core value is timeliness, right? So that's a way to figure out what is the thing that really annoys me. If it really annoys me, that means that at the depths of who I am, it's important to me that people are not like that. Does that make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Okay. Next, please. So there are bell values. There are going to be other things that you find that you desire. You may not have that initially. You may see somebody that has those values, and you're like, oh, I really like this, and I want to be like this person, or I want to speak with grace. I'm always so. Somebody say nonsense, and I just be like, oh, shut up. You want to respond with grace. Like, if you're the kind of person that wants to respond with grace, your bell values are the things that you're going to start to build. Like, somebody will annoy you, you want to say you should shut up. You just like, God bless you. So you start to train yourself gradually, but it doesn't mean it's your core value, but you're training yourself to become that, so that in the future that becomes one of your top values, and you're refined who you are. Your words are laced with grace, but back in the day, we know that it was not so, right? So, but it's something that you grow into. Next slide, please. I asked you this already. Okay, actually I can ask you, this is my Obama. I'm gonna ask you this question. So, what values come to mind when you think of, do you know the guy on the left side? Yeah. Okay, so what value comes to mind?
Accountability.
Accountability? Yeah? That's true.
Passion, integrity.
Integrity, that's true too. Passion. Next, can you click it? social activism was for me. It doesn't mean that it's just that, but for him, he stood for what he believes in. How about these two guys? Do you know who the next ones are? Technology. But values. Humanitarian. Yeah, values. Next. Ooh, did you get that one? Yeah, he's powerful. Education. And the last one, Oprah.
Empowering.
She's empowering, yeah, she empowers girls too. She's also wellness as well. Yeah. So next. So competition. You want to be great, yeah? But you don't know what everybody else is doing. Bad. You need to know what your competition. This when you identify your competition, you're not saying that you're identifying them so you can go and fight them and go and kick them out of the market and just, that's not the point of knowing who your competition is. The point of knowing your competition is so that you can identify what your own uniqueness is. So remember, we talked about identifying your strengths, then identifying your interests. Now, based on the fact that you've done that, you know what you're really good at. So now you're going into the market like, okay, what's Steve Jobs up to these days? You're checking it out. Okay, Steve is cool, but there's something that Steve doesn't have that I have. Now, when you identify that, you can then start to sell that. You can then start to tell people, this is what I have. So obviously, you become the obvious choice, because if somebody is looking for that thing that Steve doesn't have and you have it, right? They're going to be like, I think I'm going to go with Jane Smith. Right? Because Jane has that thing that's Steve's just wearing his black shirt and his blue jeans. Like, yeah, I need more than that. So they're gonna come to you for your pink dress or whatever, or like your excellence or whatever it is that makes you extra quirky or extra super awesome. So what is that thing that people don't have that you have? So you want to know, one, your competition, well, your strengths, your interests, and then your competition. Then you find out the difference maker. What is the difference about you? That is the thing that you then start to promote a lot more. Right? If you're promoting something, if you go on LinkedIn these days, you see a lot of people, their taglines are the exact same thing, like business analysis, business analysis, business analysis, business analysis, business. Okay, the only difference between this business analysis and this business analysis person is like, this one is black and she's a female. Let me just see, because now we're supporting BLM. That's not sufficient. Like, what is you need to be able to say something that's different and clearly different. So, next please. When you're analyzing your competition, you check out what their circle is, right? Who are their friends? Where do they go? What do they do? You check out what their online presence is. Like I told you, I wrote a book. Now I'm looking online for the editors that are being referred to me, and there was one that just had a very shaky online presence, and I'm like, I mean, I heard good things about you, but I don't really feel like I want to work with you because there's no review, there's no excellence showing online. Like, let's be honest, I would judge you based on what I'm seeing online. And it's not just me that will judge you. Me, I'm a nice person, no. It's not just me. Everybody's judging you. Like, I just type in Kunle Akindele, check. There's no Kunle Akindele online. Okay, so who are you? Don't you have questions sometimes when you don't find somebody? Like, how is it possible that you don't exist online? Like, are you real? Or for a female, sometimes I can be like, okay, she got married. So I'm like, checking, oops, non-existent, So what is your online presence like? What's your social media like? What is, you have a LinkedIn account and you have one friend. What's going on? Like, you just open the account and you left? Are you still looking for work, or like what's happening, right? So what's your portfolio like? What have you done in the past? You're checking out your competition. You're seeing what your competition is, doing. Sometimes people get really vexed at other people that are getting jobs ahead of them, and you're not realizing that person put in the work. That person's online portfolio is looking like clean. Your own, you're like, whoa, I don't have time. Do you want to hire me? Don't want to hire me? Let me know now. Let me be going. Like, do you want the job? Like, you need to build that presence. Like, give them something to talk about. Give them enough to talk about. What is your competition's energy like? Check them out. You're competing with these people. You don't know what they're doing. You're wondering, why did this one get the job and I didn't? Well, go check them out. Check out what their strength is, what their weaknesses are. What's their target market like? Who are the people that they're really speaking more to? What's their offline presence? There's some people that are super nice online and you meet them in person and you're like, I wish I never met you. I just wish like we just never met. It would have just been better. Like it would just preserve my memory. Like, oh, she's awesome online. Like now I can't go back. Now I just have to unfollow you and just disconnect. You know, what is their niche? Who exactly are they serving? Like you can be a business analyst, but you're not going to be a business analyst to everyone. You might be a business analyst in tech. You might be a business analyst in cybersecurity technology. You know, what is the exact niche that they're serving? Maybe you find something that you really like. Find out exactly what their own niche is and then discover who they're not serving that you can serve. Next slide, please. Service. Remember I said that people are super critical? Identify your own market. Who are the people you're going to serve? And then keep talking to them. Talk non-stop until like whenever they need that thing, you have to be the only person that they think about. That is the goal. You want to get to a point where you're the only person on the mind of these specific people. Whenever you're speaking to 1 million people at the same time, you will never hit your optimum. That's because everybody's hearing things differently. Everybody's receiving what you're saying very differently. For example, if I walk into this room today, and this is a room of mothers, of children, just best believe, just even those two, mothers and children, the way I talk to each other, like, hi, how was your day today? Are you okay? Are you having a good day? And I'm talking to, I use that same voice and I talk to everybody in the audience and all the mothers are looking at me like, it was good. Yeah. Because the voice and the treatment and the relationship is different. So you need to understand who exactly are my people. So when I walk here, I know I'm talking to professionals, Nigerian professionals. If I was talking to like a lot of Caucasian people, I'm not going to talk about moi moi because who is this person? Call 911. Like, you kind of want to make sure that you know the people and you're speaking their language. Next, please. Niches are important. They are your area of greatest influence. A lot of times people don't niche because they think like if I niche, that means I'm gonna lose money. But let me tell you, if you niche, you're going to gain money because you become a specialist. Have you ever had a general practitioner work on your brain? Like say someone's having like brain surgery, needs brain surgery, and all of a sudden you call a GP, general practitioner, please, I know yesterday you were treating that woman's toe. Can you do his brain today? Will you allow him, or you just deal with the brain like that? You obviously say, can I have a brain surgeon? Somebody that is specialized. That is why you specialize. That's why that person can say, the brain surgeon can say, sorry, this is going to be $300,000 for your brain. And the general practitioner will just like, bring 15 naira, it's okay, I'll do it. Will you open your head? Like, I just want to know the people that will say, sure, cut open this head and just fix it, it's cheaper. No, you're going to go with a specialist. So why don't you specialize and find your own niche market so that you can speak their language and treat them better? Next slide, please. When you specialize, you don't generalize. What thing that you get is you get the first mover advantage. You found this specific thing that is very unique to you, that is very good. Now you're entering that market and you're hitting it right on the head. You're owning a space, you're leading in a space, you are the singular choice for it, and you can claim authenticity, like this is my space and it's an original space. Next slide, please. So, how do you niche? For example, you want to go 3 levels deep. Ask yourself, who do I serve? And like say, for example, you want to serve women. When you say, I want to serve women, actually, I want to serve women. What kind of women? Spanish women. What kind of Spanish women? New immigrant Spanish women. When you say that, you can now start to speak a different language. You can start to tell stories about when we came off the boat together, when we came off the plane together. You can say, ¿Cómo estás? Blah, blah, blah. You can start to say all those things, but when you say, I want to serve women, not all women are the same. They're short, long, black, you know what I mean? So you first of all discover who do you want to serve, go 3 levels deep. A lot of people say, I want to serve the African community. That is, and then I say, well, okay, like, Why just that? When you say that, you are losing out because the African community, yes, we're a massive continent of Africa, but in one country alone, Nigeria has over 360 ethnic groups. That in itself is like very different people. Even right now, the Yorubas want to remove themselves from the Igbos. So like, how are you going to bring those people together? You kind of want to make sure you know exactly who, right? So decide who exactly you're going to serve with what you do. What will you do? I'm going to babysit. What babysitting? Babysitting for date nights only. What kind of babysitting for date nights? Babysitting for date nights at a customer's home. 3 levels deep allows you to be very unique and very niched. Not overly niched, but just 3 levels deep enough. Okay? Next slide. Appearance. There is an important, like, okay, have you ever walked into a place and, especially I guess in the African community, like you find that you'll be like, she did not greet me. Have you? That is like a common thing. Like, how can she walk in here? She not even greets me, you know. But like, I usually greet everybody as much as I can. Like, good afternoon, good afternoon. I mean, I don't know, good afternoon, good afternoon. But my major question is, do you look presentable enough for somebody to notice that you should be greeted? Are you presenting yourself in a way that they should respect you enough to greet you? This is America. Like, they don't have to greet you here. Like, if you go back to your whole country, you can be getting vexed. But here, anybody got time for you? Like, sorry ma, moving on. You know, so put yourself in a position where you can be respected enough to be greeted. What is your appearance going to look like? Decide. The reason I say you should decide on your appearance is because your appearance shapes the minds of the people around you. When you are at work, what happens is sometimes, at least for me when I was in corporate, a lot of times people will say, that black girl on the 4th floor. That was my own description. Well, so they give you a title, they give you a description. So you kind of want to make it easy for them. If it is black suit you're always wearing, that girl that's always in a black suit, sure, be happy with that description, but it's going to be part of your personal brand. Decide what it's going to be. What is it going to look like? I had a birthday party like 2 years ago, and my friends all gave me gold jewelry. I didn't know that they had all noticed that I only wear gold, right? It's something that's unique to me. Find out what your own uniqueness is, and you notice that people start to respond to you based on that thing, or they start to define you based on that thing. But you need to define it first so that it's not like that sloppy guy. Because some people will tell you, like, you know that guy that just always looks as if he's tired and he's lazy and like, ugh. Like, yeah, they're going to define you like that. Like, this is like, nobody's going to be like, how do we describe? They'll try, and when they try, when you hear it, don't be angry because you're the one that did that to yourself. Next, please. Extras. Extras come in 2 ways. Again, when I talked about the gold, I wear gold, not just on purpose, but I like gold. It's what I like, you know, so it's part of like the extra unique thing in my own outfits. But then there's also extra in delivery. Always give somebody beyond what they have paid you for, right? Don't just give them, did you not just say you said this is a must-have, Abby? I gave you the must-have. This other part, you say it's nice to have. Well, it's nice to have. No, it's not like I have to have it, right? But the difference maker about you is that you gave them the nice to have, and you didn't just stop there. You now gave them the extra. Now, when they are laying off people, they wanted to lay off Bob, Thomas, and to be honest, they really wanted to lay you off. But remember that project that you worked on the last time that you stayed over time and you didn't build the company for it, and you kind of just did it and you did it really excellently well? That's the project that kept you on a little longer. That becomes just part of your personal brand. And the thing is, personal branding is very holistic. Sometimes people just think it's just what you wear and how you look. No, it's a very holistic thing. It's about, you know, how you serve people, what you do, what is your extra special, how do I define you, what do you look like, how do you speak, what do you listen to, are you current? All those different things are all part of it. So you kind of need to really think holistically. It might get tiring, but it will make you a better person, because remember, you have that vision, and that vision is leading you to a legacy. God forbid that you be one of those people that just passed through. Oh, John. Yeah, he lived here from 1991 to 2050. Yeah, that was John. They have nothing else to say about you, no description, just He passed through. He has gone on to be with glory, to glory. What did he say? He has gone on to glory now. That's not, what a waste. It would be a waste. You have to be intentional about your existence, and this is why you build your personal brand. Next slide, please. So, when I first started, I had a tagline, and it was my every dreamer's favorite brand architect. Your tagline, remember that time I talked about the business analyst place? You want to make sure that you have your own unique tagline. Right now, mine is the Startup Brand Master. So if you go on LinkedIn, my tagline is very short. I have a short tagline. I'm also like, I say I build brands and I color the future. Those are the things that I do. So it's part of my own tagline. When you see that, you stop. Because you search business analysis or you search branding, every other brand master will come up. But my unique thing is I help startups with branding, right? So those are the things that I do. That's why I'm different from the other, because I'm doing startups, and then you click OK, and then you want to learn more. So you want to make sure that even though you may be an IT consultant, who are the people you serve? Make sure that it's different and put it there in your tagline. Do not ever use a generic, it's a trap. To be honest with you, it's a trap. And it's also a trap to like, I have MBA at the end of my thing, but it's also a trap to like just put 1 million different things where you don't really show what your uniqueness is. What is unique about you? You kind of want to use that top 3, that top part of your LinkedIn and of your resume to just really sell yourself. So based on what you've identified about yourself, I'm sure like by now I really hope, like I'm not just talking here, and like you're really thinking about like, okay, what's my uniqueness? What am I good at? What is the extra special thing? If you're really thinking about it, next slide please. If you're really thinking about it, it's time for you to craft your tagline. And in crafting your tagline, these are the 3 areas that you want to think about. What is your superpower? Think about one word that is really, really, really extra special. What am I really good at? What is your expertise, right? So your expertise, for example, can be business analysis. Your superpower in that thing. I'm not, to be honest with you, I don't even really know all the things that business analysts do, but I just know everybody's a business analyst. So that, whatever that little extra thing that people do in business analysis, let that be your superpower. And then your target audience, some people is like, oh, for Fortune 500 companies or for small to mid-sized companies. Those 3 areas, you can craft them into your tagline so that people immediately can see, can I find myself in here? Is this what I want? Yes. Then they click on you. Or then they say, I want to discover you further. Next, please. So your taglines, bless you. Your taglines can be fun. They can be emotional. They can just be default, which is just like exactly what it is. They could also be salesy. Some people, like, they're really persuasive, and because they're in sales, it's a very good thing where they're very like, sales is like, it's clearly like saying, come on, buy now or die. Some people's tagline, you can see immediately that you have to click it, but then that works for them because of the market that they serve in. So for examples of like taglines, like statement taglines would be, I help people create big brands from simple ideas. This was my earlier tagline. That means that like I was helping, well, it's clear. You want to make it clear too, it has to be clear. Also, I specialize in diet and nutrition for pregnant women. Do you see how that is very special? Like it's very specialized. It's for pregnant women. It is diet and nutrition for those specific women. I inspire and implement change across SMEs. It's saying the kind of people that I serve, and it's exactly saying exactly what I do, right? You want to gain a lot of clarity on exactly what it is that you do and the people that you're serving. Next, please. So, do this at home. Please do it at home. It'll really help you, trust me. Next, please. Elevator pitch. So, Shadi talks. She talked about your summary section. Your summary section should have your elevator pitch. But elevator pitch is essentially like 15 to 30 seconds of what you say if you're stuck in an elevator with like the VP. That's how the term elevator pitch came around. Like if you're stuck in an elevator and you need to introduce yourself, what do you say? So you can combine those 3 things together to make your elevator pitch. And you can also use that in the top section of your resume, which is your selling point. So you're being very clear about your audience, you're being very clear about your extra special, and you're putting all of those things right at the top of your resume. Next, please. For example, I'm a brand architect that specializes in helping people build great brands from simple ideas. I do this with online courses and in-person workshops. That is the initial part. Then the person now says, that's 15 to 30 seconds. It's like, oh, tell me more. Then you can now start to tell more. So it's not really a space for you to write your bio. It's a space for you to just kind of give them something so that they can ask you more, right? That is the point of the summary section. And also you can of course add, like if it's going on a resume, you want to add your accomplishments, like, oh, you know, maybe you did this and you closed out a $50 million deal, you know, that sort of thing. Put that at the top. But if it's in the elevator, I don't think it's a good time for you to say that. Just saying. Next, please. So next is your bio. Bios are usually a problem for people. And that's because it's a lot of verbiage included. Like, you kind of need to talk a lot about yourself. And sometimes it makes you think, what have I really done in this life though? You kind of can't really figure it out. But here is a simple way for you to think about it. So your bio is sort of like a little bit more of a complex elevator pitch. So you start off with your elevator pitch when you're doing your bio. Remember, I'm a brand architect that helps people build big brands, you know, from small ideas. I do this through workshops and through courses and in-person workshops. And then you talk about value provided, and then you add a personal story. You know why you add a personal story in your bio? Because people relate to stories. If I tell you a story now, you will not forget this. In fact, maybe I should think of a story to tell you now. So that you remember something from today. Can't think of anything. But whenever you do a bio, make sure that you include a personal story. Like, one day I was braiding my hair in the market and all of a sudden I fell into the gutter, and that's when I realized that I would never braid my hair in the market again. That is a personal story. From that moment, I then decided I was going to open a shop where people will never have a gutter in front of them, and now I own Labake braids. See? That is a personal story that talks about your bio. Labake Braids has opened up 5 locations across the GTA and is set to open up another one in Saskatchewan. Labake Braids has closed and made $50 million and also transformed 1 million people's heads till date. That is part of your bio. Make sense? Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're listing personal story, then lead it to accomplishment. And whenever you finish your bio, if it's a written bio, put a call to action. Your call to action is telling people how they can connect with you, or maybe telling them to buy from you, telling them to do something. You don't just put a bio and disappear. Okay, I've read your story, you'll buy. No, I put my bio, now I want you to go to my website. Go to my website and buy. I put my bio, now I want you to book me. Give me something, you know, let us carry on this conversation. Like, I don't just want to tell you about myself, I want to tell you about myself, meet you, and maybe we can work together. Next, please. So activities. I hope you guys are not getting tired because it's just like halfway, but just. So activities, in relation to your dreams, goals, and vision, what activities do you need to engage in order to serve your niche best? Activities is where a lot of times people drop the ball because ideas are good and ideas are a dime a dozen. You can have ideas, like as you're sleeping, you can have 100 ideas. The execution is really where you're tested, right? So next. So your activities, here we are in your ecosystem. In your ecosystem, there are different elements that you want to include in order to sell yourself. Now, first of all, you want to make sure that you position yourself. You've understood your competition, you know what your strengths are, you know what your interests are, you know what your values are, you kind of have a really good idea, of, okay, it's gone. You have a good idea of who you are. So now you want to upskill and reskill, especially in this pandemic time. What are the new skills that you're adding on? What are the new things that you're doing? A lot of times these days, I see a lot of people taking courses and they're saying, now I have the certification, now I you know, they're reposting. It's good to have that, but make sure that when you are reskilling and you're getting all this certification, you're giving us a story behind it because it is that story that we will remember. Now, position yourself as somebody who has what it takes to do the job that you're looking for. Share your knowledge publicly on social, in books, in podcasts. Your ecosystem are all the different elements by which you promote the work that you do. So some people would use podcasts, they would use books, they would use ebooks, they would use websites, they would have lives. CNP right now has a live session going on. This is part of the CNP ecosystem where they're building their own brand. So you want to have something that is tied back to you. Like I said, I have a book called Making Dollars that's coming out. That's part of my ecosystem. I teach, that's part of my ecosystem. I have one-on-one consultations, that's part. So I built something for myself, and people would then tie those things back to me. Now see yourself as an institution and not an individual. The problem with success, or the challenge with success, is that sometimes people think too small of themselves. When you think of yourself as an RBC or as an Apple, you start to act differently. If you don't see yourself big enough, you can't act big. And it's not about acting without, like, give me something that I can work with. How strong, how deep does this thing go with you? When you start to think bigger and deeper, then you can bring up greater value, right? But when you just like, me, I'm just dealing on Matala, you can't really do much with that because you haven't seen how great you are. Until you see that, nobody's going to see it for you. Right? When you see that, then you have this drive within you where it's like, I need to learn more, I need to do more, that is how an institution thinks, because they have annual revenue, they have sales forecasts, they have all these things. But individuals, it's just like, you want maybe your $75,000 a year, and that's all that you want. You don't want more. But with the institution, they're like, so in 5 years, we're going to make $500 million, and we're going to blah, 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 blah. That is how an institution thinks. You need to start thinking that way. That's the only way that you can reach these, great heights. Decide what products and services you will offer. Shadi Talks is talking now. That is part of her services that she's doing. You could do ebooks, podcasts, those kind of things. Develop a pricing strategy. Your pricing strategy is key. But you want to make sure that when you pick a price for the things that you're going to be offering, it is competitive. What are the people in your industry offering? Is it just like you just picked a price that I feel like $100,000 would be good for this thing. I won't mind it, because there are some people that just charge superfluous amounts of money, and it's like, but madam, for what? You kind of want to make sure that when you do choose your prices, you are able to compare it with what the world is offering. I know you would like to just pay your rent with one speaking engagement, but let's be real, like, it does not make sense. So yeah, develop your channels. Make sure that you are reachable. People can, do business with you. If it's even career, if it's business, whatever it is, make sure that they have an easy way of doing it. One of my pet peeves is when people post things. Let's say they're selling like a product, and they have maybe like a small business as part of their ecosystem. They have like a small business, and what they do then is DM for price. Why are you doing that? You don't want to sell? You don't want to make money? Just put the money there. Just put the price. Let me pay. Let me just want to press add to cart, check out, DM for price, and then you now like DM for price, and 5 days you have not. Oh, so sorry, I've been so busy. I didn't able. I already bought my thing and I already moved on. I don't even want anymore. So you want to make sure that your pricing strategy is also is effective, but your channels are also as effective. Next. Speaking pro tips. So if you're speaking, this is applicable to pretty much even if you're in business, no matter what you are. If you are speaking at any point in time, you want to make sure that you listen. You don't just like barge in and you listen to what people are saying, what are people thinking. Right now, I'm looking at a lot of people and I'm listening to your body language, right? I know it's seen, but it's a language. I can hear it. I can hear tiredness. I can hear distraction. I can hear those things. So when you are speaking, you want to make sure that you're listening to how people are receiving what you're saying. It is impossible for people to remember large amounts of information. Today, I'm giving you large amounts of information, but I'm still going to circle it back by summarizing exactly what I'm telling you. Essentially, major things that we've learned so far: you need to analyze your strengths, you need to know your vision, you need to know your interests, you need to know what you're passionate about, you need to realize that people will judge you based on how you look, so you need to look in a way that you're okay being judged by that. Now, those are kind of some of the things that we talked about. When you're opening your presentation, you can use any of these things. You can ask a question. I remember asking you a question when I started. I also recapped her presentation on purpose. You know, show, don't tell. I told you a story. How many people remember the story that I just told now? The story, what was it about? You see, you take that home now and you remember. So I'm telling you this so that you, at least at the end of the day, you will remember something. And that has to do with your bio. It takes you through, again, remember you do the personal story, it takes you to accomplishments and then your call to action. Do something completely unexpected. I think I did something unexpected. I can't remember what it was. I think I did this, I don't remember. Next, please. But do those kind of things. It helps you with your speaking. Now, personal websites. Sometimes you feel like your LinkedIn is enough, or maybe your social media is enough. It is not enough. Your personal website is something that you own. Your social media is something that Mark Zuckerberg or one of those guys own. The day that they say it has crashed, or maybe they are packing up, maybe I can't find you on the internet, or Google says they're not again, you're gone. Like, oh, Kunle Akindele is just gone. Never to be found. So you build like 500,000 followers, and you have all these connections and you're like really happy about it. You don't have their email address because the only place that you met them was on Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook, and now they just deleted Facebook forever, and now your business is dried up. Or block your account. Or you lost your password and they say that you need to do security something, and then you can't get back in forever. Now start again. You're 500. You use 10 years to build those 500,000 people. You need your website so that you can retain people, and they have a space to go and they're looking for you. A website is something that you own. On your website, you have your bio, your portfolio, your contact page. A website without these three things is not complete. Because I don't know who you are, I don't know what you've done, and I don't know how to reach you if I like what you've done. Right? It's part of your full brand. Ensure that your homepage summarizes why they should know you. When you're doing this is not an opportunity for you to write everything in your life. It's just an opportunity for you to summarize what they need to know. Next slide, please. This was my website when I first started, and that was my summary. And then those are the kind of things. My website has changed since then, but essentially there was a purpose for it, and there is a purpose for everyone here to have a site and to have a space online. The truth is, even at this time, it's probably the most critical. You need to own a space on the internet. You have to. It's like grade 1. You have to own one space. Like, what is your space? Next, please. Website tips. When you do get a website, please make sure that you do www.yourname.com. Do not do yourname.jz.me.ne, because there's so many extensions now. Those are not as professional. If you want to do .ca because your name, maybe there are other Kunle, but they judge is somewhere else, or Kunle, maybe all these people are somewhere else, so you need to do another extension. Make sure that it's .ca. Then maybe you find .ca. Because it's your personal page, I'll say, okay, go with me. But besides that, don't go with .net. That's painful. Like, I don't do that. .ninja, .buzz. No, don't do that. Even if they offer it to you, they're trying to sell. They're not trying to, they're not looking out for your best interest. It's just, please just buy .buzz.com or .buzz and go. Purchase your domain privacy, because what you're doing is you're protecting your address and your phone number. Consider platforms like Squarespace. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm very tired now. Consider platforms like Squarespace. It's easy to navigate, it's easy to use, or you can use Wix. I personally like Squarespace. I use it for pretty much all my websites. Do not create a website that sits on another domain like bolanlethomas.blogger.com. It doesn't look professional. Activate your SSL, which is pretty much your HTTPS, which is your security certificate. You want to make sure that that's activated. So when people go there, if they don't land on this is a malicious site, you might get defrauded. Go back, go back, go back. You don't want that. You want them to stay and go to your page. So you want to get your HTTPS. Use professional pictures of yourself that align with your brand. I know that sometimes you kind of just want to take a picture in your car, right? It's just like, I need a profile picture. And then it's just like half your face, or maybe it's dark, or like, that doesn't look professional. Whenever you're taking a picture, rule of thumb is to face the light. So whenever you're backing the light and you know, you're like, but it's sunny outside, why is it looking like this? Because you're backing the light. So you want to make sure you're facing the light and it doesn't look so blurry. If you do start a blog, I have to say, make sure that you are consistent with it. If you want to, you know, be talking to people about what you do and, you know, stories and stuff like that, make sure you're consistent. And LinkedIn has about 600 million users with over 260 million active users. This is a dated statistic from like years back, just because now LinkedIn is way more active than it's ever been. And I've been on LinkedIn for years, and trust me, where I'm like, there's some new players in the game. I've never seen them before, and that's just because everybody's home. But this also means that you are going to get more activity. I have to tell you, even when you go on Google, if I were to search Deborah Ojo, for example, one of the first things that will pop up is LinkedIn. The reason for that is that LinkedIn has very, very strong search capabilities. So if you don't have a LinkedIn page, you are really missing out, because you kind of want to pop up first. Like, if you're looking for something specific, you want to pop up first. So make sure you get at least a LinkedIn page. Don't just create an account. LinkedIn will actually tell you when you're not fully optimized. So you want to make sure that you fully optimize your LinkedIn account. Put your profile picture, get people to, you know, recommend you, put your titling, all of those different things need to be fully put in. If you have work that you've done, put that work into, you know, your profile. Don't just like leave it and just say that they'll find me or they will ask me. Sell yourself before they have to ask you about it. When you are building your LinkedIn, use a professional headshot. Profiles with professional headshots get 14 times more profile views. This is a dated statistic, by now it's more. Search for people with titles in industries or roles of interest to you and start to connect with those people. When you connect with them, introduce yourself, tell them what you do to this thing or not. That's when you have 16 followers, it's like, you have commitment issues. But when you have more, it just seems like you're active and then you're talking more, and you know, it's more engaging that way. Include your tagline and website in your headline, not your title, right? So tagline, we talked about that. Ensure that you include a bio in the summary section of your profile. If you have more than 40 words, you increase your searchability. Remember how I said that you can be searchable on LinkedIn better than it? That's even on Google. You can be, they put in your name, you pop up really quickly on LinkedIn. But you increase your searchability when you have more than 40 words in your bio. Give and request recommendations. Recommendations are super key, because somebody has worked with you before and they're telling me I've worked with XYZ before and she's really good. Oh, okay. I want to find out more about that person. Now, when you are networking, I'll skip this part. Next slide, please. Networking. Yeah, we can't network these days, but I guess maybe when we can. I guess that's a sign that it's not necessary. Well, whenever you network with people, go with an intention. Don't just attend a networking event. If you don't have a purpose for attending a networking event, stay at home. Trust me, it's better that way, because if you go to that, you will disgrace yourself. You will. You'll go to the networking and you will say nonsense because you weren't prepared, right? So if you don't have a purpose, if you don't know why you're going, if you don't know who's going to be there, you know, do your research, find out, and then go with your portfolio, go with your business. Next slide, please. The business cards, actually, you don't need business cards these days because everything is virtual. And on LinkedIn, you can actually just virtually, like on your phone, just barcode next person's whatever. But these are some really cool business cards from like when we use business cards, and I think you can actually still use them. So for example, this one in the bottom is like, this guy is in fitness. So his business card, this is really cool, it's really funny, right? His business card is the full fat belly, and you just rip it off. So he's really just saying that you can lose this belly weight with me. It makes sense? So on the back end, he put his phone number and everything. This other person is a yoga person, this blue one, a yoga mat. So she used like a little yoga, which you can still use till today. It's like a little yoga mat with all her details on it. So you can use something that makes you stand out and is different from, everybody else. Next, please. So go online, go and scrape up whatever is bad online, because whatever is bad is taking away from all the good you're putting back into the back online. So go and delete old. Who knows High Five? High Five? Yeah. High Five is so old now. So if you have some really trashy pictures on High Five, just go and find a way to remove it, because it's not going to help you depending on how strict whoever is looking into you is. So delete or modify any search results that come up. Next, please. This is a website that actually helps you clean up your online presence. It's called deceit.me. So you can check it out and just see how you can just wipe out anything that's just like, it's not making sense. Just delete it. Next, please. Marketing tips. How do you promote your work? You can create a schedule to build your relationships and gain exposure. Now, I know as I say schedule, everybody's like, I don't want to do that. But it does help you, because when you schedule what you're going to be doing, it makes it easier for you to keep tabs and just to do better, on your schedule, like on reaching out to people. Decide what platforms you will be active on. You don't have to have all the social media accounts or all the social media. If you're not going to be active on Reddit, you don't need one, right? You kind of want to make sure that you're just not, because you're going to have all these dead accounts all over the place. It's not necessary. If you're only going to be active on LinkedIn and Instagram, then just have LinkedIn and Instagram. It keeps you focused and it allows you to actually build an image and build a proper presence. Set up your Google Alerts. This setting up Google Alerts thing is very critical. I'll tell you why. Depending on what it is that you do for the world, depending on the niche that you're focused on, when you set up a Google Alert, it reminds you based on the frequency that you select, let's say it's every week or every day, what exactly happened in the world regarding that thing. So when you're talking, you can actually sound smarter than 2 years ago when you graduated from school, or 10 years ago. You start, because now you know what's happening. Maybe McDonald's just did this, and now there's an uproar in China. Okay, now I know and I can talk about it. So you're now more current, and it gives you content that you can actually use on whatever social media platforms you're on. Customize all your feeds so that you see the news that is related to you. This also is on LinkedIn. Join and comment on related blog posts, create blog posts, subscribe to groups, budget for frequent meetups and coffees. Now you can't do that, unfortunately. Just do the coffee in your house and put Zoom ID, you'll be fine. Consider creating a marketing plan. Now, a marketing plan allows you to identify how much you will spend on promoting yourself if you need to. What are the things that you're going to do? Pretty much, how do you make money from yourself? That's what a marketing plan will do for you. And volunteer in spaces where you can, because what you're doing there is getting some exposure and also giving back to the community. And it also allows you to identify what your extra special skills are. Next, please. Now, experiencing you starts from before, during, and after. So people decide who you are before they meet you. And also while they're meeting you, they're also making, like as I'm talking now, somebody has already made a script, decided who I am, where I'm from. They kind of just piece the story together in their minds. So you want to make sure that you're giving people the elements that you're okay with them using to describe you. So before meeting me, maybe you've checked online, you've read reviews. What are those things that you're doing for people before they meet you? How are you defining the space before they meet you? It could be your website. It could be, just reviews, recommendations. What are the things that are online that are related to you? During, when they meet you, your business cards, your connections, your speech, your collaborations, that is a during experience. And after, you can follow up with a thank you card. Sade Talks mentioned following up is never going to be out of date. Now that is part of your post experience. When you follow up, what do you say? Is it an email? Do you send a card? What is the thing that you're going to do to make you stand out? And lastly, what are your virtual connections afterwards? Like, are you reaching out? Are you connecting? Are you keeping the relationship going? Or is it like tap and go for you? It's like, I met you, peace out, we'll see whenever we see, and hopefully we never see again. Like, what is your, what is the full experience that you're bringing to the table? Next, please. Next, please. Pro tip, don't attempt to do everything. Don't attempt to do everything, but try everything and see what works with your personality and interests. When you figure out what that is, focus on no more than 5 things and then monetize those 5 things. You don't have to have accounts on every social media platform. Just decide what your 5 things are and just work those things till, like, grind them really hard. Next, please. Circles. Okay. Key partners are super critical. You go forward based on the people that you know. So make sure that you're choosing the people that will help or elevate you overall. So your vendors, your suppliers, your partners, proper recruiters, managers, make sure that you're choosing key partners that will lead you towards that vision. Surround yourself with the right people. This is part of your branding. Whenever I look people up and I see who they're connected to, it allows me to make my decision on whether I want to connect or I don't want to connect, right? I connected with somebody recently. Oh, I know some people are already tired. I'll tell you this another day. Next, please. Practical tips. Evaluate your current circle for growth partners. Imagine and articulate your dream circle. So think about, oh, I want to be Oprah's best friend. Okay, start to talk to people that are getting closer to Oprah. Play the part, act like the person you want to be, and you'd attract the right people. Cultivate your relationship, grow and nurture it. Next, please. This is a good book that you can read for building your value-aligned circle. It's very good, trust me. It talks about things like remembering people's names. So when I introduce myself, I say, hi, I'm Dami, what's your name?
Emmanuel.
Hi, Emmanuel, nice to meet you. I said his name on purpose so that I can remember it. And when I say his name, it's kind of like hits him naturally. That's always going to happen. So whenever you do those kinds of things, you are bringing people in as opposed to pushing them out. As opposed to like, hi, it's good to meet you too, thanks. That is never a good sign. So this book teaches you like little practical tips on how to build your value-aligned circle. Next, please. Your strategy is pretty much everything that we talked about, but you customize it based on who you are. So your strengths, your interests, and your vision, your values, all of those things put together, your appearance will build exactly what your own personal brand strategy will be. Next. That's it. So go home and do all the work. I hope you were able to learn something. I know, guys, I have to rush, but thank you for having me, and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I want to use this time to appreciate Dami. Let's give Dami a round of applause. Thank you so much, Dami. I learned a lot of things. I hope we all do as well. I also want to appreciate Ms. Shadi Talks. Thank you, Shadi Talks, and thank you everybody for attending. I want to give a few minutes for question and answers. So if you have any question about all the things that they've spoken to us about, then now is a good time to, and we'll monitor online as well. So thank you very much. Please introduce yourself by starting with your name. Thank you. Go ahead.
Agman Mahabari is my name. The question is somehow connected to these two speakers. Selling yourself, gesticulating, like you are in front of an interviewer. What is the proper place? Because I have two views. Example, is that what are your achievements? Some say don't count on your fingers. So how do you carry yourself to sell your message? Why I'm asking this question is sometimes you go back in school, the best student in that department, they went for an interview and he failed. They said it was the way he carried himself, but he was the best. So what is the best way you carry yourself to sell it?
Thank you. I'll take that part first. So when you go, sometimes
the smartest person in the room is not always the best person for a job, and I'll tell you why. You can have somebody that's the smartest person on a team, that is, you all know he's smart, but the person doesn't know how to, in your words, sell themselves. So when you now meet them, you don't even know that they're as smart as they are. Now when you go to an interview, for example, and they ask you, they ask you questions, if you need to, the end of the day for every interview, when you are yourself, like now it's kind of fashionable to say bring your whole self to work. Many of us have been bringing our whole selves to work a long time ago. They just didn't see it, right? So what you want to do is first of all, just feel comfortable however you are comfortable. Now if you're interviewing, for example, you see you have your legs crossed. I have my legs crossed. If you are more comfortable sitting with your legs crossed in an interview, do that. Just because everybody else is sitting like this doesn't mean you have to do, because then it changes how you are. So it's usually when you're comfortable speaking about yourself, and then also being able to, I would say, just being able to, I always say keep it simple. Some people think when they come and they speak big, big words, and they use grammar. You don't need it. Anytime you're speaking, talk as if you're speaking to 11-year-olds. If an 11-year-old that has never heard what you're talking about comes to you and they understand what you're saying, you've done your job. That's what you want to remember. So it's not just the being smart, it's also being able to convey that you are smart. And how you do that, it's not by saying I have a PhD and MBA. And we have people that have PhDs that you would walk right by them, you never know they're smart because they didn't tell you or you didn't see it. And sometimes it's also how you carry yourself when you're in the course of doing business. So for interviews, it really is just figure out what is important to your interviewer. And 9 times out of 10, they will tell you in that must-have section. Like I'm a very strict person when it comes to somebody needing to hire and saying, oh, I need them to have 75 things. I sit back, when you're ready, let's talk. Because you can't expect the whole everything. Nobody's gonna have everything. But those things that are important to them, and then you can find out from the recruiter, like this hiring manager, I see the must-haves, I see the things they want to have, but what does the role really need? What can I bring to this role? What can I bring to this interview? You'll be very surprised. A lot of recruiters will tell you. Maybe not all, but a lot of them will tell you what's needed. Because trust me, they don't want to talk to 200 people either. They want to talk to 5 or 10 and find a great one and hire. So they'll help you. Does that help?
Then you made the statement, cocky and being comfortable.
Confidence. Okay, let me show you this. It's a very easy thing. Confidence is, I know that when I talk to sis here, I can speak properly, right? I know that when I'm driving a car, I drive a car, I can drive it safe, and I can drive a car good. Cocky is when I say, nobody can drive better than me, Joe. That's cocky. Okay? So there's a very thin line between that and cocky. And I use this one example in a talk I had recently. Many years ago, when I was at agency, a gentleman, there were actually 3 people that were going to this particular company for an interview. I had a good relationship with the manager. I was at agency, then you find people, you send them to the companies. One guy went to the interview. He was the best on paper and smarts. I knew he was the best. I also knew he was cocky. And I remember talking to him and I said, okay, most of the time you call and you prep, people, hey, this is what they like, this is what, you know what he told me? Don't worry, I already got the job. I went, okay, sorry, my bad. So I kept quiet, right? The other guy, actually, he called me, he asked. So I told him, and the third person I called. All 3 went to the interview. Hiring manager calls me back, and he says, Adisha, dude 1, let's do dude 1. he will implode my team, meaning my team will go like this. He said, because he is cocky. In my head, I'm like, told that man, but I didn't say anything. The second guy was not as good as the first guy, but he was also good. But because when he went to the interview, he carried himself well. He was confident, but he wasn't cocky. The manager didn't sense that he was cocky, right? And this is man to man, so you can't say, oh, well, you know, maybe it's a woman or no, it's dudes, right? And the funny thing is, all three guys were foreigners. So you can't say, oh, this one got it because, no. All of them were foreigners. All of them had accents. Okay? The third guy just didn't have the qualifications to do it. So the difference with cocky and confidence is people can detect when you are cocky. There's confidence, yes, they can detect it. So that's really the difference. Okay?
Sorry, can I add to that? So for also like, it's also in posture, I feel. Like a lot of times people, they may speak kindly, but they're not sitting properly. They're not positioned properly. So for example, you might be like, you might say something like, yeah, I can do the job. I've done blah, 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 blah. That's not a problem for me, you know? And that might sound okay, right? It might sound okay, it doesn't sound like you're cocky, but because of the way you're sitting, it changes the way you said it, because now it's like, I can do the job. That's not a problem for me at all. I said the same thing, but I sat differently, so you read it differently. So there are two languages. One language is your body, one language is your voice, and a lot of times the body language is overlooked as a language that people are hearing.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One more question? Do you have a question? Yes, yes, please go ahead.
So I want to talk to the cocky and the confidence. And I do have a second question too. But is there a time at all that somebody can be cocky? Because at times you know what you know. And if you're not speaking, who's going to speak for you? I just want to know.
You know what? I think cocky sometimes has its place. I may or may not, I should not say this, but sometimes cocky would need to come out when you need to, with wisdom, put somebody in check. Okay? When you need to put somebody in check with wisdom, not the clap back like we do have now, right? But when you need to put someone in check in wisdom, cocky needs to come out. That's about the times I would say cocky needs to come out. And it's going to come out in the facts that you're telling the people. Like, you know how I said you always have to have receipts, like TMZ? That's when cocky needs to come out. For example, if I come to you now and I say, I know what you do for a living, right? And I come and I just, you'd be like, I've been doing this and I can run circles around this. Now, if I tell somebody I can run circles around something, they might think it's cocky, but it's true. You can run circles around it. So a lot of times, that's the times that I've seen and have also probably come across as cocky is when you, with wisdom, need to put someone in check to make sure they understand that, okay, I'm not saying you don't know what you do, but you might want to check yourself before you step to me like that, right? That's about when it would come out.
I have a comment. So, based on the things you have just said now, so would cocky be likened to overconfidence?
Yes.
Okay, so, and you also said something like it's not necessarily every time you're cocky, but it's negative.
There are very few instances. The job interview is the last place that you feel you're cocky. That's the last. If there's anything you don't want the interviewer to remember about you ever, is that you're cocky in the job interview. You can probably get with sweaty palms, you're nervous, all of that thing. That cocky one, you could be the best like this guy, you will not get the job. Because what they're going to say is, oh, he's going to come in, he's going to showboat, you know. So they've already analyzed you and the job 5 years down. That you're just coming to come and scatter around. so that's how they're thinking. But sometimes I will preface this and say, not all hiring managers are equal. Not all recruiters are equal. I've been in spaces where I've been thought of as cocky. Luckily for me, there were people there that are like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. We know her, right? But because somebody else is there. Like, remember when you said people understand what you talk, how you do, and basically they know you a little bit, that they can say, no. Now, there's some people we all know, if somebody comes to you and say, this person insulted me, yay. Some of us, we already know, like, you know what, sorry. We don't even ask what the person did. We're just like, sorry, no thanks. Because we know, in my language, they say that person has insulting cheeks, and you can just insult anybody like that. So, you understand what the person is, and if the person is not like that, you say that. So there's always sometimes where and then the other thing is sometimes perception becomes reality, okay? Somebody has a perception of you, that person puts that perception to somewhere else, and suddenly people have this whole perception, you have no clue. Remember when she was saying that in the office, they remember you as the person wearing black or whatever, and you may not necessarily want to be remembered in a particular way, but that perception has gone, and that's what they think. They don't know you, right? So that's the other part of being careful. Honestly, it's not an easy thing, right? Some people could see you and they think you are rude. In our culture, right? When you are outspoken, as a Nigerian girl growing up, there are certain things, even if you have opinions about some things, you cannot talk, right? When you do, you are too forward. Nigerian people are rude. I think other African countries, but they say, she's too forward. That's it. Somebody may want to give you a job, but once somebody says, she's too forward, that's it. So it's just that perception. So it's not always fair, right? We can only do the best we can, but definitely, if you're going for an interview, do everything you can not to come across as cocky, but you also don't want to be the doormat. You know, we both said this is one thing that was very common. You're walking in as if you own the joint, okay? You know when you go to a party and some dude walks in and he just looks good and you're like, oh, damn, he looks good. Yes. When a woman walks in and everybody turns around, like people are talking to you and this woman walks by and everybody's looking, you know what? She's owning the room. She hasn't said a word yet. She just walked in. That's what you want. It doesn't come in one day, but that's what you want.
Sorry to bother again. I'm just going to add. So there's also a way to help with cockiness versus confidence. Remember how I talked about understanding the audience? If you're going for an interview, you want to research the person that you're going to be speaking to because that's the person you're going to sell to. For example, if you were going to sell to a pregnant woman, let's say she's about to have a kid, right? But you didn't know she was about to have a kid, and you took everything for a child that is 5 years old, she's just going to not be able to use what you brought, right? But if you took all the right things, whatever you spoke to her, it wouldn't really matter so much how you sound because everything you're saying is good for her. So if you're going to meet a recruiter or a hiring manager, whoever, you want to know exactly what he likes. He might be somebody that likes people to tell him as it is. Like I spoke to somebody recently and I'm very outspoken, right? So I told him exactly as it is and I told him exactly what my weakness is. Like, I'm not a very patient person, right? If I want something done, I want it done now. I don't want to wait, right? And for some people, they're going to take that as, last time for this, my friend, get out. But he appreciated that because I'm honest and that is who I am. So I'm taking my whole self, but I'm explaining exactly what it is that I do because I understand who this person is and how he will receive it, right? But if you don't know that person and you haven't done any research on that person at all, you probably be trying to gauge them at the time of the interview. You're not really knowing how to speak to them. So it's always good for you to really understand the person that you're going to so that you can address them appropriately. That way you can balance your cockiness versus confidence. You know when to interject. Because to be honest, if somebody were to cross me when it comes to things that I'm passionate about, I will speak up, and they'll take it as I dish it, and you know, if they can receive it as, you know, I'm me being confident, that's exactly what they'll get. But if I spoke the wrong thing to the wrong person, it may come off as cocky. So it's about knowing the person on the other side, I think. That also helps. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A round of applause. I would say something, and then I will invite our president to give the vote of thanks. But from me crossing from an employee to an employer now, you have to also understand that as an employee, you are bringing value. So if you think of it like I'm bringing value to the company, I'm selling myself, and they are paying me for my service. That helps to improve your confidence. Because I used to go in as if, you know, I need this job and everything. Then I was just fitting in, but not everything fits me, right? Not all the culture. Oh, sorry. Not all the culture is going to fit me. So I have to understand what is the work culture. So when I'm trying to get somebody into my company right now, I'm looking at it teachable. That's if you're cocky and you say, oh, yeah, don't worry, I get it done. I know that I can talk to you, right? So I'm looking for the culture that will fit in. I'm a kind of leader, and I prefer some certain, and some people will fit, and some people will just not. So don't try to fit in if it's not for you, but look for that company that you can grow in, because also you're bringing value to them. You're helping them to grow their company, and they are looking forward to it. Otherwise, both of you are wasting your time. So don't apply for jobs that, you know, is not suited for you. Don't go to places just to fit in, because at the end of the day, you don't stand out at all. And that's what I guess Dami was talking about, branding. So thank you very much. I would invite Miss Activa to come and give the vote of thanks. I forgot to introduce myself. How could I? That's sorry. My name is Deborah. I'm Deborah Ojo. I'm a real estate agent, and I also happen to serve as a director with CMP. So thank you very much.
Wow, it's been an amazing time. Did we learn anything at all?
Absolutely.
OMG, I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Sade Talks. Again, a round of applause for that. And yes, a brand new thing ambassador. Wow, did you see how she's just moving all around and branding ourselves? Thank you so much, Dami. From you. Thank you. Really, really appreciate you guys. It was amazing, simply amazing. A lot to take away, and I sincerely hope that we've learned a thing or two that would actually add value to us. So, you know, a lot of people ask, why do we do what we do? And I'll tell you one or two stories. 27 years ago, a gentleman came to this country. His first degree is in statistics. You imagine somebody going to university to study statistics in Nigeria. And he got to this country looking for a job, and they said, there's no job. What you can do here is to collect Owo Baba. Does anybody know what Owo Baba means? Yeah. So, and it's like, really? There was
public assistance, welfare. That's what they call it.
Welfare, that's Owo Baba. And I just wonder, you left Nigeria 30,000 miles away to come to Canada, and you're collecting your father's money. I don't get it. Your father is in Nigeria, so why are you collecting your father's money here in a place where you've not worked? But it's because there was no information. And then, 15 years ago, I came into this country. I've been a banker all my life. And I came in and they said, there's no job, that I should take Owo Baba also. And I'm like, no, that's not who I am. They said, okay, if you can't do that, maybe PSW. I don't even like people being sick around me, seriously. Some people love it, and PSW, seriously, you guys are amazing, especially during this time. But that's not for me. I'm a banker, period. And yes, I had to start from scratch, but I struggled, and eventually I started from the scratch. But then, here I am today. You just gotta do something. I mean, this is not my country. But let's say there was something like CMP then. that could provide information, that could give us what we call soft landing, that you could network with somebody that looks like you, I'm sure it would have been a better journey. And that's why we do what we do. We want to provide information for newcomers. We want to provide information for ourselves. I've had people mentor me in this organization. I need it too. We all need it. We want our children to see people that look like their parents, that will be their role models. Children listen to their parents, and that's really being sarcastic right there. But when they see people that look like their parents that are doing great, it's easier for them. When they see people that look like them that are doing wonderful in their careers, they can connect with those people and network with those people and learn from those people. When we have amazing people like Khadijat and Dami in our community that can actually share their skills and experience and insights, I mean, how cool is that? We always say that the grass is greener on the other side. It's because somebody put the work in. Let's put the work in, period. Oh, Indians do this, Chinese do this, Jews do this. They put the work in. Let's do something different. We can't continue to do the same thing the same way and expect different results. It's not going to happen. You need me as much as I need you. Let's work together. So I want to shout out to people that are actually paid members of CMP. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You want to learn how much it is? Please visit our website. Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. I said, just say it and let's pay, right? Say it and let's pay. Individuals is $50. Corporate members is $200. Families $100. We have mature students. It is $25 a year. It's something that it's affordable. And I want to let you know that don't think about it as giving Adejisola money. No, you're not. You're putting money into your community to move your community forward. So to everybody that has paid and everybody that I know will pay, thank you so much in advance. Together we can be stronger. And also I'd like to thank Red Cross and the government of Canada for providing us the grants that is allowing us to do all these things. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you. To everybody here in person and everybody watching virtually, thank you. Thank you. We really, really appreciate you. We can't thank you enough because without you, really, thank God for the people that are here. Without you, who are we going to be talking to? Thank you, everybody. And of course, it's Thanksgiving weekend. We wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you all for coming and have a wonderful weekend.